Welcome to the Sleepy Stoic. Tonight, we're exploring one of the most powerful practices in Stoic philosophy, the art of cosmic perspective. When we're caught in the grip of worry, anxiety, or overwhelming concern, our problems can feel enormous, all-consuming, as if they fill the entire universe. But the Stoics understood something profound. By deliberately expanding our view, by seeing our lives from a vast perspective, we can find both peace and clarity. This isn't about making your concerns seem trivial or unimportant. It's about seeing them accurately, in proper proportion. When you look at a painting from inches away, you can only see brushstrokes and texture. Step back and the full image reveals itself. Step back far enough and you can see how that painting fits into the gallery, into the building, into the city. Each perspective reveals something true. None negates the others. They're simply different scales of seeing. The ancient Stoics, particularly Marcus Aurelius, practiced what they called the view from above. Marcus would imagine himself rising up, looking down at his life, his city, his empire from an ever-increasing height. As the perspective expanded, the things that seemed so urgent and critical from ground level began to appear smaller, more temporary, part of a much larger pattern. This wasn't escapism. It was a tool for clear thinking, for maintaining equilibrium, for remembering what truly matters. Tonight, we'll explore this practice together. We'll rise up, metaphorically, and look at human life from various scales of perspective. From the immediate moment to the span of a day to a lifetime to generations to geological time to cosmic time. At each scale, we'll notice what changes and what remains. We'll see how problems that feel crushing up close appear differently from distance. And we'll discover that this perspective doesn't diminish our humanity. It enhances it. You can approach this exploration in whatever way serves you best. If you're listening actively, engage with these ideas, contemplate them, let them challenge and expand your usual way of seeing. If you're preparing for sleep, let the words wash over you like a gentle tide, carrying you toward rest. The cosmic perspective we're exploring is inherently calming. There's something deeply peaceful about recognizing our place in the vastness of existence. Let's begin where you are right now in this moment. You're lying down or sitting in a specific location. Perhaps you can hear sounds around you: traffic, wind, the hum of appliances, silence. You're in a room, in a building, on a street, in a town or city. This immediate environment is your most tangible reality. This is what you see, hear, feel, experience directly. Now imagine rising slightly, just a few feet above where you are. From this small elevation, you can see your immediate surroundings with slightly more context. The room you're in is one room among many in this building. The building is one structure among many on this street. Already, with just this small shift, your immediate concerns are contextualized. They're still real, still present, but they're part of a larger picture. Continue rising gently, as if you're floating upward through a peaceful sky. You're above your building now, looking down at your neighborhood. See the houses or apartments, the streets forming patterns, cars moving along roads like blood cells through capillaries. From this height, you can see more people's lives happening simultaneously. While you lie here with your concerns, thousands of other people in this neighborhood are also living their lives, each with their own worries, hopes, challenges, joys. This recognition is important. You're not alone in struggling. Whatever keeps you awake tonight, whatever weighs on your mind, similar concerns are weighing on countless others right now, in this very neighborhood. Someone else is worried about money. Someone else is replaying an awkward conversation. Someone else is anxious about tomorrow. You're part of the human condition, not uniquely burdened but typically human. Rise higher still. You're above your city now, able to see it as a whole. The lights spread out below like a constellation on Earth. Millions of people if it's a large city, or thousands if it's smaller, all living simultaneously, all experiencing their own version of being human. Your specific situation, whatever it is one situation among millions unfolding right now in just this one city. Marcus Aurelius would practice this view regularly. As Emperor of Rome, he had enormous responsibilities and pressures. People's lives depended on his decisions. The weight of empire could easily become crushing. So he would deliberately take this expanded view. He would remind himself that Rome, vast as it was just one empire on earth. That his reign, long as it might seem, was just a brief moment in Rome's history. That Rome itself, powerful as it was, would eventually fade like all empires before it. This wasn't nihilism. Marcus didn't conclude that nothing mattered because everything passes. Rather, he recognized that what truly matters, character, wisdom, virtue, kindness, these things matter regardless of scale. Whether you're seen from ground level or from cosmic distance, whether your life is examined in intimate detail or as a tiny point in vast time, what you do with your capacity for reason and choice matters. But the specific outcomes you're worried about, the reputation, the status, the temporary circumstances, these appear different at different scales. Let's continue our ascent. You're rising above the earth now, high enough to see the curve of the planet. Your city is just a bright spot among many. Continents are visible, oceans vast between them. From this height, human concerns become remarkably similar. The anxieties keeping someone awake in Tokyo are fundamentally the same as those keeping someone awake in New York or London or Mumbai. Different specifics, same human experience of worry, hope, fear, love, longing. The astronauts who saw Earth from space often reported a profound shift in perspective. They described seeing borders disappear, seeing the planet as one fragile system, seeing humanity as one species sharing one small world. This wasn't intellectual. It was visceral. The usual divisions that seem so important on the ground, nations, politics, religions, these become harder to see from space. What becomes visible is the unity, the shared condition, the remarkable fact that all human drama is unfolding on this one small sphere floating in void. Consider what this means for your current concerns. Whatever you're worried about, it's happening on this small blue planet, third rock from a medium-sized star in an ordinary galaxy. This doesn't make your concerns meaningless, but it does put them in context. The universe is not holding its breath, waiting to see how your situation turns out. Your problem, real as it is to you, is not a cosmic crisis. This recognition can be deeply relieving. The Stoics understood that humans tend to inflate their concerns to cosmic proportions. We act as if our embarrassment, our setback, our disappointment is a universal catastrophe. We take the temporary and treat it as eternal. We take the local and treat it as absolute. The cosmic perspective corrects this distortion. It shows us reality at multiple scales and helps us see more clearly what's actually happening. Let's go further out. You're beyond Earth now, able to see the moon's orbit, the other planets of the solar system. Earth is smaller now, clearly just one planet among 8 circling the sun. And the sun itself, enormous as it seems from Earth, is just one star. A rather ordinary star, not particularly large or bright, middle-aged, one of hundreds of billions in our galaxy alone. Think about time at this scale. The Earth is about 4.5 billion years old. The sun is about the same age. They'll exist for billions more years. Human civilization, in its current form, is perhaps 10,000 years old. Your lifetime, maybe 80 or 90 years if you're fortunate, is a tiny fraction of human history, which itself is a tiny fraction of Earth's existence, which itself is a tiny fraction of cosmic time. This isn't meant to make you feel insignificant in a negative sense. Rather, it's meant to free you from the tyranny of believing that your temporary concerns are permanent realities. Whatever you're worried about tonight, the universe was here long before it, and will be here long after it's resolved or forgotten. The cosmos is not paying attention to your problem. This is liberating, not depressing. Seneca wrote about the poverty of our time, how short life is, how much of it we waste on trivialities. But he also wrote about perspective. He encouraged his friend Lucilius to imagine viewing human affairs from a great height, seeing how small and brief they appear. This practice, Seneca said, helps us distinguish between what truly deserves our attention and what's just noise. Most of what agitates us is noise. Consider the typical worries that keep people awake. Someone thinks you're foolish. You made an embarrassing mistake. You're anxious about a meeting tomorrow. Your finances are stretched. Your relationship is strained. These are real concerns. From the ground level of your immediate experience, they loom large. But from cosmic perspective, what are they? Temporary situations in one person's brief life on a small planet. They'll pass. Everything passes. This doesn't mean you shouldn't address your concerns. The Stoics weren't advocating for passivity or neglect. If your finances need attention, attend to them. If your relationship needs work, work on it. But you can do these things without the added burden of treating them as cosmic catastrophes. You can respond to your life's challenges while maintaining perspective about what they actually are. Temporary situations requiring your attention, not permanent crises defining your existence. Let's expand our view even further. You're looking at our galaxy now, the Milky Way, a spiral of hundreds of billions of stars, gas, dust, held together by gravity, rotating slowly over millions of years. Our sun is a tiny point in one of the spiral arms. Earth is invisible at this scale, too small to see. Every human who has ever lived, every story, every war, every civilization, every moment of joy and suffering, all of it happening on a speck too small to be visible from this perspective. The Stoics talked about seeing from the perspective of the cosmos. This was partly literal, imagining viewing human affairs from vast distance, but it was also philosophical. It meant judging things by their true nature rather than by how they appear to limited human perception. It meant distinguishing between what actually matters and what merely seems to matter because we're too close to it. Think about a time in your past when you were deeply worried about something that now seems minor or irrelevant. Perhaps a social situation in school, or a job you didn't get, or a relationship that ended. At the time, it felt enormous, perhaps even unbearable. But from the perspective of now, years later, you can see it was just one moment in your unfolding life. Past. You survived. You're here now, dealing with different concerns that probably also feel enormous but will also eventually pass into memory and then into forgetting. This pattern repeats throughout life. We overestimate the importance of current circumstances because we're immersed in them. We can't yet see how they'll resolve or what will come after. But if we could view our lives from the end, looking back, we'd see that most of what consumed us was temporary and less critical than it seemed. The cosmic perspective lets us borrow some of that future wisdom now. It lets us see our current moment as the passing phase it actually is. Marcus Aurelius practiced this deliberately. He would remind himself that he was just one of many Roman emperors, that his reign would be brief compared to Rome's history, that Rome itself would eventually fall. He wasn't being pessimistic, he was being realistic. And this realism freed him. If nothing is permanent, if everything passes, then the pressure to make everything perfect disappears. You do your best with what you have, and you accept that everything is temporary, including your best efforts. Let's go even further out in scale. Beyond our galaxy, there are billions of other galaxies. Each one contains billions of stars. Each star might have planets. The observable universe is so vast that light from distant galaxies takes billions of years to reach us. We're seeing those galaxies not as they are now, but as they were in the deep past, when their light began its journey. The universe is incomprehensibly large, ancient beyond human understanding, filled with more stars than there are grains of sand on all of Earth's beaches. In this vast context, Earth is less than a speck. Humanity is a recent emergence. Your life is a brief flicker. Does this make you meaningless? The Stoics would say no. Meaning doesn't come from size or duration. A brief life can be meaningful. A small existence can contain wisdom and virtue. What matters is not how large you are in the cosmic scheme, but how well you use your capacity for reason and choice. Consider a single beautiful moment. Watching a sunrise, holding someone you love, feeling deep peace. That moment doesn't become less meaningful because it's brief or because it happens on a small planet in a vast universe. Its meaning is intrinsic in the experience itself, in the consciousness that appreciates it. The Stoics understood that we can live well, virtuously, meaningfully, regardless of cosmic scale. This is important because the cosmic perspective could be misused. You could use it to conclude that nothing matters, that everything is pointless because everything is temporary and small. But this would be a misunderstanding. The Stoics used cosmic perspective not to eliminate meaning but to clarify it. They wanted to distinguish between the temporary things we mistakenly treat as ultimate and the genuine goods that actually warrant our care. Temporary things, your reputation, your wealth, your status, your physical appearance, your possessions, other people's opinions of you, the specific outcomes of your efforts. All of these can be lost, will eventually be lost, exist only briefly, appear differently from different perspectives. They're what the Stoics called preferred indifference. Nice to have, reasonable to prefer, but not actually good or bad in the deepest sense. Genuine goods, your character, your wisdom, how you treat others, your integrity, your courage, your self-discipline, your justice. These exist at every scale. A virtuous action remains virtuous whether viewed from ground level or from cosmic distance. An act of kindness matters whether it's seen by everyone or by no one. Your choice to respond to difficulty with wisdom rather than panic. This matters regardless of the size of the universe. This is why the cosmic perspective doesn't lead to nihilism for the Stoics. Yes, the universe is vast and you are small. Yes, time is deep and your life is brief. Yes, most of what you worry about is temporary and will be forgotten. But your character, your choices, your wisdom, these create ripples. They affect others. They contribute to the overall well-being of humanity, if only in small ways. And they determine the quality of your own experience of being alive. Marcus wrote that we should be like a rock in the ocean. The waves crash against it constantly, but the rock remains steady. Eventually, even the waves grow calm around it. Your problems are like waves. They arise, they crash against you, they feel overwhelming. But if you maintain your inner steadiness, if you keep your character intact, the waves don't destroy you. And eventually, they do calm. New waves come, certainly, but none of them last forever. Let's practice bringing the cosmic perspective into a specific worry you might have. Think of something that's troubling you, something you've been ruminating about. Hold it in mind gently. Now imagine viewing this concern from different heights. From ground level, it's right in your face, consuming your attention. Every detail is visible and seems important. You can see all the ways it might go wrong, all the implications, all the reasons to worry. This is the perspective you've probably been stuck in, the view that makes it hard to rest. Now rise above it slightly. You're looking at this concern as one element in your current life. It's still there, still visible, but you can also see other parts of your life. Your relationships, your health, your daily activities, your small joys and comforts. The concern is one thing among many, not the totality of your existence. Already, from just this slightly elevated view, it's less all-consuming. Rise higher. You're viewing your whole life as a span. This concern is occurring at one point in that span. Before it, there were other concerns that you navigated and survived. After it, there will be new concerns and also new joys. This particular worry is a chapter, not the whole story. Even if it goes badly, even if your fears come true, it's still just one chapter. Life continues. You adapt. You learn. You move forward. Higher still. You're viewing your life in the context of your generation, your society, your historical moment. Millions of people are dealing with similar concerns right now. Millions more dealt with them in the past. Millions more will deal with them in the future. You're not alone in this. The concern feels personal and unique, but it's actually a common human experience. Others have survived it. You can too. Now imagine viewing this concern from very far away, from space, from beyond Earth. From here, it's completely invisible. The universe is not aware of your worry. The stars are not watching to see how it turns out. This might seem cold, but it's actually freeing. Your concern exists only in your experience. It has no cosmic reality. It's a temporary disturbance in one consciousness on one small planet. It will pass as all things pass. Finally, view this concern from the perspective of deep time. 1,000 years from now, it will be completely forgotten, not diminished or resolved, but literally non-existent in any memory or record. The concern that feels so huge tonight will leave no trace in the universe. This isn't sad. It's liberating. You're free to respond to it wisely without the pressure of believing it's permanently important. Notice what happened through this exercise. The concern didn't disappear. It's still there, but your relationship to it shifted. You gained perspective. You saw it in context. You recognized its actual size and duration rather than the inflated importance it had from close up. This is the power of the cosmic perspective. It doesn't solve problems, but it allows you to approach them with greater clarity and less anxiety. The Stoics believed that much of our suffering comes from seeing things incorrectly. We see the temporary as permanent, the small as large, the local as universal. We inflate our concerns because we lack perspective. The view from above, the cosmic perspective, is a tool for seeing more accurately. And when we see accurately, we suffer less. Not because we stop caring, but because we care about things in proportion to their actual importance. Think about how this applies to common sources of nighttime anxiety. Someone criticized you. From ground level, this feels devastating. Your reputation seems ruined. But from even slight elevation, you can see that one person's opinion is just one opinion. From higher still, you can see that reputation is temporary anyway. From cosmic perspective, the entire concept of reputation appears as a brief human concern with no ultimate reality. You're free to consider the criticism, learn from it if it's valid, and release it if it's not, without treating it as a catastrophe. Or perhaps you're worried about a failure, something that didn't go as planned. From close up, it feels like the end of something important. But from distance, you can see it's a redirection, a lesson, a temporary setback in a longer journey. From vast distance, you can see that all human plans are temporary arrangements subject to constant change. The universe has no opinion about your plan. You're free to adapt, to try something else, to recognize that this too will pass. Or you're anxious about the future, about things that haven't happened and might never happen. From ground level, the future feels heavy with potential catastrophe. But from cosmic perspective, the future doesn't exist yet. It's a concept, a projection. The only moment that actually exists is now. And now, in this actual present moment, you're probably safe. The catastrophes are in imagination. The reality right now is manageable. Marcus Aurelius dealt with enormous pressure. He led an empire through plague and war. People died under his watch. He made decisions that affected millions. Yet he maintained his equilibrium through practices like the cosmic perspective. He would write to himself, "Asia and Europe are mere corners of the universe. Every sea is a drop in the ocean. Mount Athos is a clod of earth. All the present is a point in eternity." He was deliberately shrinking his concerns to their actual size. This didn't make him callous or uncaring. He still worked hard, made difficult decisions, carried his responsibilities. But he didn't add unnecessary suffering by treating every challenge as if the universe hinged on it. He understood that he was doing his small part in a vast unfolding, that his best effort was enough, that outcomes were not entirely up to him, and that everything, including his empire and his life, would eventually pass into the great forgetting. There's a profound peace available in this recognition. You don't have to make everything perfect. You don't have to control all outcomes. You don't have to ensure that nothing goes wrong. These are impossible standards that create perpetual anxiety. Instead, you can do your honest best, respond wisely to what arises, and accept that you're a finite being with finite power in a vast universe. This acceptance doesn't diminish you. It frees you. Let's explore another dimension of cosmic perspective. The perspective of time. We've been thinking primarily about spatial scale, rising up and seeing things from increasing distance. But the Stoics also practiced temporal perspective, seeing their lives in the context of vast time. Think about the age of Earth, 4.5 billion years. For most of that time, there was no life, just rock and water and atmosphere slowly changing. Then simple life emerged, then complex life, then consciousness, then humans. Our species is perhaps 300,000 years old. Civilization as we know it is about 10,000 years old. Your individual life is at most 100 years. You're experiencing perhaps 100 millionth of Earth's history. This isn't meant to make you feel insignificant, but to show you the truth. You exist in a brief window of time. Before you were born, the universe went on for billions of years without you. After you die, it will continue for billions more. Your concerns, whatever they are, exist only in this tiny sliver of time. They're not eternal problems. They're temporary situations arising and passing in the endless flow of time. Marcus meditated on this frequently. He would remind himself that countless people before him had similar concerns and that all those people are now dead and forgotten. Emperors who thought they were eternal are dust. Philosophers who wrote great works are mostly forgotten. Soldiers who fought in wars nobody remembers. All of human drama, from this perspective, is a brief flickering on an ancient planet. But again, this recognition doesn't eliminate meaning. It clarifies what meaning is. Meaning is not about lasting forever. Meaning is about the quality of experience, the virtue of choices, the wisdom of responses. A brief life lived well is meaningful. A long life lived poorly is wasted. Duration doesn't determine worth. Character does. Consider your current worries from this temporal perspective. How long will this particular concern matter? A week? A year? 5 years? Even if it's something with long-term consequences, the acute anxiety you're feeling tonight is temporary. The situation will change. You'll adapt. Time will pass. This is guaranteed. Nothing remains the same. Change is the only constant. The Stoics found this recognition deeply comforting. Yes, bad things happen, but they're temporary. Yes, you face difficulties, but they'll pass. Yes, you might fail or suffer loss, but that too will become past, and you'll still be here, still capable of wisdom and virtue, still able to respond to whatever comes next. The flow of time is your ally, not your enemy. It ensures that nothing stays the same, which means current difficulties won't last forever. There's also something else to consider from the temporal perspective: how little time you actually have. This isn't meant to create anxiety, but to clarify priorities. If you live to be 80, that's about 29,000 days. Sounds like a lot until you realize you've already lived many of those days. Every day you spend in useless worry is a day of your brief life you won't get back. The time you have is genuinely limited. Do you want to spend it anxious about things outside your control? Seneca wrote powerfully about this. He argued that life isn't short, we make it short by wasting it. We squander our days on trivialities, on worry, on things that don't actually matter. If we spent our time well, focused on what's genuinely important, even a brief life would be sufficient. But we throw away our days, and then we complain that life is short. The problem isn't the duration, it's how we use it. From the cosmic perspective, both spatial and temporal, what should you actually care about? What deserves your finite attention in your brief life on this small planet? The Stoics would say, your character, your relationships, your contribution to others' well-being, your wisdom, your growth as a person. These things matter at every scale. A kind word to someone in pain matters. An honest choice when dishonesty would be easier matters. Patience with yourself when you're struggling matters. These small acts of virtue ripple outward and create the kind of life worth living. Everything else, the status and reputation and possessions and outcomes you can't control, these matter much less than you think. They're fine to engage with, fine to prefer good outcomes over bad. But they don't determine your worth. They don't define your existence. They're temporary arrangements in a temporary life. When you see them from cosmic perspective, their grip on you loosens. You're free to engage with them lightly, without desperate attachment. This is the wisdom the cosmic perspective offers. Clarity about what actually matters. Not everything matters equally. Not all concerns deserve equal attention. Most of what agitates you is actually quite small and temporary. The things that truly deserve your care, your character and wisdom, these are yours to cultivate regardless of circumstances. No cosmic distance diminishes their importance. No passage of time makes them irrelevant. Let's go deeper into understanding the true scale of the cosmos and what this means for how we hold our concerns. We've begun to rise up and look down at our lives from increasing distance. Now we'll explore just how vast the universe actually is, not to make ourselves feel small in a negative way, but to gain accurate perspective on where we actually exist and what that means for our daily worries. Our sun is one star among roughly 200 to 400 billion stars in the Milky Way galaxy. Think about that number for a moment. Not millions, not even billions in any quantity we can truly grasp, but hundreds of billions. If you could visit one star per second, it would take you over 6,000 years just to visit all the stars in our galaxy. And our galaxy is just one among perhaps 2 trillion galaxies in the observable universe. These numbers quickly become meaningless because human brains didn't evolve to comprehend such scales. We evolved to understand the immediate, the local, the human-sized. A tribe of 100 people, a territory we could walk across, a lifetime we could count in seasons. Our brains are extraordinary, but they're built for a much smaller scale than cosmic reality. This is why perspective-taking is a practice, not a natural state. We have to deliberately remind ourselves of the true scale of things. The Stoics understood this limitation. They knew that humans naturally inflate their concerns to fill their perceptual field. If all you can see is your immediate situation, it will feel like the entire universe. The practice of rising up, of deliberately expanding view, is a way to compensate for this natural limitation. It's a tool for seeing more accurately. Let's make the vastness slightly more concrete. Light travels at about 186,000 miles per second. At that speed, light from the sun takes about 8 minutes to reach Earth. This means when you look at the sun, you're seeing it as it was 8 minutes ago. Light from the nearest star, Proxima Centauri, takes about 4.2 years to reach us. When you look at that star, you're seeing it as it was over 4 years ago. The Andromeda Galaxy, our nearest large galactic neighbor, is about 2.5 million light-years away. The light you see from Andromeda left that galaxy 2.5 million years ago, long before humans existed. You're looking at ancient light, seeing the past. The deeper into space telescopes look, the further back in time they see. The most distant galaxies we can observe are so far away that we're seeing them as they were over 13 billion years ago, not long after the universe itself formed. This gives us a sense of the temporal vastness, the depth of time. The universe is approximately 13.8 billion years old. Earth formed about 4.5 billion years ago. Life on Earth emerged perhaps 3.8 billion years ago. Human civilization is about 10,000 years old. Your lifetime is perhaps 80 years. You exist in a tiny, recent moment at the end of an almost incomprehensibly long story. Marcus Aurelius reflected on this. He wrote, "Think of the whole of existence of which you are the tiniest part. Think of the whole of time of which you have been assigned a brief moment. Think of destiny and your place in it." He wasn't trying to make himself feel insignificant. He was trying to see accurately. He existed in vast context. His concerns, urgent as they felt, were tiny ripples in an ancient ocean. When you're lying awake worried about tomorrow's meeting, or replaying today's embarrassing moment, or anxious about next month's deadline, the cosmic perspective asks, where does this concern exist? It exists in your consciousness right now on Earth at this particular moment in history. The universe at large is not aware of your concern. The vast majority of space and time is completely unaffected by whether your meeting goes well or poorly. This isn't to say your concern doesn't matter to you. Of course it matters to you. You're the one experiencing it. But it helps to recognize that its importance is local, personal, temporary. It's not a universal crisis. The cosmos is not waiting breathlessly for the outcome. This recognition allows you to hold the concern more lightly, to respond to it without the added weight of treating it as cosmically significant. Let's explore what exists at various scales of distance from where you are right now. Starting with Earth, the diameter is about 8,000 miles. You could drive around it theoretically in a few weeks. It's large from our perspective, but it's dwarfed by the Sun, which could fit over 1 million Earths inside it. Yet the Sun is a medium-sized star, unremarkable in cosmic terms. The distance from Earth to the Sun is about 93 million miles. This distance is called an astronomical unit, and it's the first real leap into thinking about cosmic scale. Light takes 8 minutes to cross this distance. If you could drive to the Sun at highway speed, it would take about 150 years. Already we're at a scale that makes human concerns seem quite local. But the solar system extends far beyond Earth's orbit. Neptune, the furthest planet, orbits at about 30 astronomical units from the Sun. The solar system's outer boundary, where the Sun's influence fades, extends thousands of astronomical units. Space is mostly empty. The distances between objects are vast compared to the objects themselves. If the Sun were the size of a grapefruit, Earth would be a grain of sand about 8 feet away. Neptune would be about 240 feet away. The nearest star would be over 1,600 miles away. These scales help us understand something important. The universe is mostly emptiness, punctuated by tiny islands of matter. The same is true of atoms. They're mostly empty space, with tiny particles orbiting at relatively vast distances from the nucleus. At every scale, from the subatomic to the cosmic, reality is mostly space with occasional concentrations of matter and energy. This has a philosophical implication. Solidity is mostly illusion. What seems substantial is mostly void. The Stoics were interested in understanding the nature of reality accurately. They wanted to see through appearances to what actually is. When you look at a table, it appears solid, but it's mostly empty space. Atoms held together by forces with vast gaps between particles. Similarly, when you look at your life, it might appear as a solid, unchanging thing. But it's actually a process, a flow, moments arising and passing, held together by memory and narrative, with vast gaps of unawareness between conscious moments. This recognition has practical value for working with anxiety. Anxiety often treats temporary situations as if they're solid and permanent. You imagine a feared future and it feels real, substantial, inevitable. But futures don't exist. They're patterns of thought no more solid than dreams. The cosmic perspective reminds us that most of what we treat as solid is actually quite fluid, temporary, subject to change. Let's zoom out further. Our galaxy, the Milky Way, is about 100,000 light-years in diameter. It would take light 100,000 years to cross from one side to the other. If you could travel at light speed, which you can't, it would still take 100,000 years to cross the galaxy. At human scales of travel, crossing the galaxy would take billions of years. It's effectively impossible. The Milky Way contains all those hundreds of billions of stars we mentioned, along with vast clouds of gas and dust, dark matter we can't see, black holes, neutron stars, all rotating around a galactic center. Our Sun orbits this center, taking about 225 million years to complete one orbit. The last time Earth was at this position in its galactic orbit, dinosaurs walked the planet. The next time we're here, who knows what will exist on Earth, if anything. This galactic timescale is so far beyond human experience that it's almost abstract. But it helps show just how brief our concerns are. Your worry about tomorrow exists in a consciousness on a planet orbiting a star that's currently about halfway through one orbit around a galaxy. That orbit began before dinosaurs and won't complete until long after humanity is likely gone. Your worry is so temporally local that from galactic time perspective, it doesn't even register as a flicker. Marcus wrote, "All things fade and quickly turn to myth, and quickly even myth fades into oblivion." He understood that even the things we think will last forever, the great empires and monuments and names, all of it fades. Rome seemed eternal to Romans. But Marcus knew it would fall. Everything built eventually crumbles. Everything remembered eventually forgotten. This isn't pessimism. It's clear-eyed observation of how reality works. From this perspective, what should you actually invest your worry in? If everything temporal passes, if every situation changes, if all circumstances are temporary, what deserves your concern? The Stoics would say your virtue, how you respond to life, the choices you make with your capacity for reason. These things matter because they determine the quality of your character and the quality of your experience. They matter regardless of outcomes, regardless of how long anything lasts. Let's expand further. The local group is the name for our galactic neighborhood, containing the Milky Way, Andromeda, and about 50 smaller galaxies, all bound together by gravity, all orbiting a common center of mass. This group spans about 10 million light-years. Beyond the local group are other galactic groups and clusters, forming a cosmic web of structure spanning the observable universe. The observable universe, the part we can potentially see, is about 93 billion light-years in diameter. This isn't the entire universe, just the part light has had time to reach us from since the Big Bang. The actual universe might be much larger, possibly infinite. We simply can't know because light from beyond the observable horizon hasn't had time to reach us yet. We're seeing only a fraction of what exists. These scales are genuinely impossible to grasp intuitively. The numbers are too large, the distances too vast. But even failing to truly comprehend them, we can recognize that we exist at an incredibly small scale compared to the universe at large. Earth is a speck orbiting a typical star in an ordinary galaxy in an unremarkable part of the universe. This is not diminishment. This is accurate assessment. And yet, on this speck, consciousness arose. On this tiny planet in a vast universe, beings evolved who can contemplate the universe itself. You are such a being. You're made of matter that formed in ancient stars, carbon and oxygen and nitrogen forged in stellar furnaces and scattered across space when those stars died. You're literally made of stardust, as the saying goes. The atoms in your body are billions of years old, cycled through countless forms before temporarily coming together as you. The Stoics had a concept called sympathia, the idea that all things in the cosmos are interconnected, part of one unified system. They didn't know about atoms or stellar nucleosynthesis, but they intuited a deep connection between all things. Modern science confirms this intuition. You're not separate from the cosmos. You're a temporary arrangement of cosmic matter, briefly aware, experiencing existence from a particular viewpoint before dissolving back into the elements. This recognition can be either disturbing or comforting, depending on how you hold it. If you identify yourself as your temporary form, then recognizing its temporary nature is disturbing. But if you recognize yourself as part of the cosmic process, as a way the universe experiences itself, then your temporary nature is just how processes work. Waves rise and fall, but the ocean continues. Forms come and go, but existence continues. You're a wave, brief and beautiful, part of the eternal ocean. When anxiety keeps you awake, try this perspective. The worry you're experiencing is a pattern of neural activity in a brain that evolved on Earth. That brain is part of a body made of ancient stardust temporarily organized into a living system. That system exists on a planet orbiting a star in a vast galaxy. The anxiety, urgent as it feels, is a tiny fluctuation in a tiny system on a tiny planet. It will pass as all fluctuations pass. The universe will continue. The atoms that are temporarily you will continue, just in different arrangements. This isn't nihilistic. It's reality. and reality, seen clearly, is less frightening than the distorted view anxiety creates. Anxiety makes everything seem permanent, enormous, critical. Reality is that everything is temporary, most things are small in cosmic terms, and very little is actually critical. This truth is liberating. You're free to care about things without believing they're the center of the universe. You're free to try without believing you must succeed. You're free to live without the crushing weight of cosmic significance. Let's consider time again, but now at cosmic scales. The universe is about 13.8 billion years old. For the first 380,000 years, it was too hot and dense for atoms to form. For billions of years after that, there were only hydrogen and helium, no heavier elements, no planets, no life. The first stars had to form, live their lives, and die, scattering heavier elements into space, before planets like Earth could form. Earth formed about 4.5 billion years ago. For the first billion years, it was hellish, molten, bombarded by asteroids, completely inhospitable to life. Life emerged about 3.8 billion years ago, simple single-celled organisms. For billions of years, that's all there was. Complex multicellular life emerged only about 600 million years ago. Humans emerged about 300,000 years ago. Civilization about 10,000 years ago. Your lifetime at most 100 years. From the universe's perspective, if it had one, human civilization is brand new, barely started. All of recorded history, all of human drama and achievement and suffering, all of it happens in the last tiny fraction of cosmic time. If the universe's age were compressed into a single year, with the Big Bang on January 1st, Earth wouldn't form until September. Life wouldn't emerge until late September. Humans wouldn't appear until the last few minutes of December 31st. All of recorded history would occur in the last few seconds before midnight. This temporal perspective shows us something crucial. Urgency is a human invention. The universe is not in a hurry. Stars form over millions of years. Galaxies evolve over billions of years. Even on Earth, evolutionary changes take countless generations. The only place urgency exists is in human consciousness, particularly in anxious human consciousness. You're feeling that you must resolve everything right now, that everything is time critical. This is not reality speaking. This is anxiety speaking. Reality operates at many timescales. Some things happen quickly, a heartbeat, a breath, a thought. Some things happen slowly, erosion, evolution, continental drift. There's no cosmic imperative that everything must happen immediately. When you feel overwhelmed by urgency, remember that the universe has been here for 13.8 billion years. Your concern, whatever it is, does not need to be resolved in the next few hours for the cosmos to continue functioning. The Stoics practiced thinking about death regularly, not morbidly, but as a way to maintain perspective. Memento mori, remember that you will die, was a core practice. They would imagine their death could come at any moment. This wasn't to create fear, but to clarify priorities. If you knew you would die tomorrow, what would actually matter? Probably not your reputation or status or most of the things you usually worry about. Probably your relationships, your character, whether you lived with integrity. The cosmic perspective serves a similar function to memento mori. It shows you what actually matters by revealing what doesn't. Consider your current worries from the perspective of your own death. Imagine you're at the end of your life looking back. Will this current concern seem important? Will you wish you'd spent more time anxious about it? Or will you see it as you probably see old worries now, as something that seemed huge at the time but turned out to be manageable or irrelevant? The perspective from the end of life is wise because it knows how things turned out. The cosmic perspective lets you borrow that wisdom now. Let's think about the future of the cosmos as best we understand it. The sun will continue burning for about another 5 billion years. As it ages, it will get hotter, eventually making Earth uninhabitable long before it dies. When the sun does die, it will expand into a red giant, possibly engulfing Earth, then collapse into a white dwarf. The Milky Way and Andromeda galaxies will collide in about 4.5 billion years, merging into a new galaxy. Stars will continue forming for trillions of years, but eventually all the available hydrogen will be used up. In the very far future, perhaps 10 to the 100th power years from now, a number so large it's almost meaningless, even black holes will evaporate through Hawking radiation. The universe will reach maximum entropy, a state where no energy gradients exist, no work can be done, no life can exist. This is called heat death, the final equilibrium state of the cosmos. Everything that ever happened, every star, every planet, every life, every thought will be gone, return to cold, diffuse energy spread evenly across infinite space. This ultimate fate could be depressing if you hold it wrong, but the Stoics would find it clarifying. If absolutely everything is temporary, if even the universe itself will eventually reach a state where nothing remains, then nothing has permanent existence. Everything is borrowed time. Your life, brief as it is no less significant than a star's life, which is also temporary. Duration doesn't determine meaning. Quality does. Marcus wrote, "Soon you'll be ashes or bones. A mere name at most, and even that is just a sound, an echo. The things we want in life are empty, stale, and trivial." This sounds dark, but Marcus wasn't depressed. He was freed by this recognition. If reputation is just sound and echo, if possessions are temporary, if even life itself is brief, then you're free to focus on what actually has value. Living well with virtue in the time you have. The cosmic perspective, both spatial and temporal, keeps returning to the same insight. Most of what we treat as important isn't actually very important. And the things that are important, character, wisdom, how we treat each other, these matter regardless of cosmic scale. A kind word is valuable whether the universe is large or small, whether life is brief or long. An act of courage matters. A moment of genuine connection matters. These things create value by their very nature, not by their duration or their cosmic significance. Let's bring this vast perspective back to immediate experience. You're lying here, perhaps struggling to rest, perhaps caught in worry. The worry feels large, pressing, urgent, but you now have tools to see it differently. You can rise up in imagination and see yourself from above, one person in one building in one city on one planet. You can extend your view across space and see Earth as a tiny speck in a vast cosmos. You can extend your view across time and see your concern as a momentary fluctuation in a brief life in a tiny moment of cosmic history. Does this make the worry disappear? Probably not immediately. The worry has momentum, neural patterns, emotional weight. But the cosmic perspective loosens its grip. You see it more accurately. It's real to you, yes, but it's not cosmically real. It's not permanent. It's not as large as it feels. This accurate seeing creates space. In that space, you can breathe. You can rest. You can respond more wisely because you're not overwhelmed by false scale. The practice is to shuttle between perspectives. You can't stay at cosmic scale all the time. You have a life to live at human scale. But you can visit cosmic perspective regularly, like climbing a mountain to see the landscape, then returning to the valley with better understanding of the terrain. Each time you practice rising up and seeing from distance, you build the capacity to access that perspective when you need it. Try this now. Whatever concern brought you here tonight, whatever keeps your mind active when you'd rather rest, hold it gently in awareness. Acknowledge it without judgment. This concern exists. I'm experiencing it. Now begin to rise up in imagination, looking down at yourself experiencing this concern. Rise higher, seeing your building, your neighborhood, your city. Continue rising, seeing your region, your country, Earth, the solar system, the galaxy, the universe. At each level, check in with the concern. Is it still there? Yes. Does it still matter to you? Yes. But notice how it changes. From vast distance and deep time, it's a tiny ripple in one consciousness in one moment. It will pass. Everything passes. The universe has been here long before this concern and will be here long after it's resolved or forgotten. This is truth, and truth is liberating. Now gently descend back down. Return to Earth, to your location, to your body lying here. You're back at human scale, but you carry the cosmic perspective with you. The concern is still present, but you hold it differently now. It's right-sized. It's temporary. It's manageable. You can respond to it tomorrow with whatever wisdom and effort you have. Tonight, you can rest, knowing that the universe doesn't require you to solve everything immediately. The Stoics believed that philosophy should be practical, applicable, useful for living better. The cosmic perspective is not just interesting, it's functional. It helps you maintain equilibrium when circumstances are difficult. It helps you distinguish between what deserves your energy and what's just noise. It helps you remember your mortality and therefore live more intentionally. It helps you stay humble, recognizing that you're a small part of a vast whole, which paradoxically makes you more, not less, capable of living well. Seneca wrote to his friend Lucilius about taking this expanded view regularly. He described how viewing human affairs from height reveals their true nature. What seems like a major crisis from ground level appears as a minor event from altitude. What seems permanent appears temporary. What seems unique appears common. This isn't to dismiss real difficulties, but to see them accurately so you can respond effectively rather than being paralyzed by inflated perception. Consider how different life might be if you held cosmic perspective more regularly. When someone cuts you off in traffic, you'd remember that you're two tiny humans in metal boxes on a small planet, briefly intersecting, soon to never see each other again. The offense would matter less. When you face a setback at work, you'd remember that you're engaged in a temporary activity in a brief career in a short life on a planet that will eventually be consumed by the sun. The setback would sting less. When you're anxious about reputation, you'd remember that reputation is just patterns of thought in other brains, and all those brains will eventually cease functioning. The anxiety would loosen. This isn't about becoming detached or not caring. It's about caring appropriately, proportionally, wisely. The Stoics cared deeply about virtue, about living well, about contributing to human flourishing. But they didn't care about things outside their control or temporary circumstances that seem important but actually aren't. The cosmic perspective helps you distinguish between what deserves care and what doesn't. Let's explore one more dimension of cosmic perspective: the impersonal nature of the universe. This might sound cold, but it's actually freeing. The universe doesn't care about you specifically. It's not watching to see if you succeed or fail. It's not judging you. It's not keeping score. It's simply unfolding according to natural laws, and you're a temporary part of that unfolding. This recognition frees you from a peculiar kind of pressure that many people carry. The feeling that the universe has expectations of you, that you're supposed to achieve certain things, that cosmic forces are watching and evaluating. This is projection of human concerns onto the cosmos. The universe has no preferences about how your life goes. It's not disappointed if you fail or proud if you succeed. It simply is, and you're a tiny part of what is. The Stoics had a concept they called living according to nature. This meant understanding your nature as a reasoning being and as part of the larger natural world, and aligning your life with both. They didn't mean you should live like an animal without civilization. They meant you should recognize what you actually are, a natural process temporarily organized into a conscious being, and live in accordance with that reality rather than fighting against it. Part of living according to nature is accepting impermanence. Everything in nature is temporary. Seasons change. Lives begin and end. Forms arise and dissolve. Resisting this fundamental aspect of reality creates suffering. When you cling to what cannot be kept, when you demand permanence from what is inherently temporary, you set yourself up for constant disappointment. The cosmic perspective helps you accept impermanence by showing you how universal it is. Stars are born, burn, and die. Galaxies form and eventually disperse. Even the universe itself had a beginning and will have an end. At every scale, from the quantum to the cosmic, nothing is permanent. Your life is not an exception to this rule. Your concerns, your situations, your relationships, your body, your mind, all of it is temporary. This isn't tragic. It's just how existence works. Accepting it allows you to appreciate what you have while you have it, without the suffering of demanding it last forever. Marcus practiced this acceptance constantly. He would remind himself that the people he loved would die, that he himself would die, that Rome would fall, that all human works would crumble. Not because he was morbid, but because this was reality, and he wanted to see reality clearly. From that clarity came both gratitude for what he had and peace about its inevitable loss. He could love deeply while knowing loss would come. He could work hard while knowing his work was temporary. This is wisdom. When you're anxious about the future, part of what's happening is a failure to accept impermanence. You want certainty. You want to know how things will turn out. You want to secure outcomes. But the future is inherently uncertain. Nothing is guaranteed. Everything changes. The cosmic perspective reminds you that uncertainty is fundamental to existence. Even the laws of physics we're discovering might be different in different parts of the universe or at different times. Nothing is as fixed as we'd like to believe. This recognition invites you to release the demand for certainty. You can plan, yes. You can prepare, certainly. But you cannot eliminate uncertainty, and attempting to do so creates endless anxiety. Better to accept that you're living in an uncertain universe, that you can't know how things will turn out, and that you're capable of responding to whatever actually happens when it happens. This is the Stoic approach. Prepare reasonably, then accept what comes. The cosmic perspective also reveals the interconnectedness of all things. You're not a separate, isolated individual. You're part of vast systems, biological, ecological, social, cosmic. The oxygen you breathe was produced by plants and ocean phytoplankton. The food you eat came from soil, sun, water working together. The matter in your body was forged in ancient stars. The thoughts you think are shaped by language and culture that evolved over millennia. You're a node in an immense web of connections extending across space and time. The Stoics saw this clearly. They understood that humans are social beings, part of communities, part of humanity, part of nature, part of the cosmos. Your actions ripple outward, affecting others, affecting systems. Their actions ripple inward, affecting you. Nothing exists in isolation. This interconnection means your life matters, not because you're cosmically significant as an individual, but because you're part of the whole and every part affects the whole in some way. This interconnection also means you're supported. You might feel alone with your worries, but you're actually held by countless systems. Gravity keeps you on the planet. Atmosphere protects you from radiation. Ecosystems provide resources. Society provides structure. Other humans provide connection. You exist only because vast numbers of conditions are favorable. One person lying in a room worrying is not alone in any ultimate sense. You're embedded in the cosmos, part of it, held by it, even if you don't feel it. The cosmic perspective can shift from abstract to immediate. Right now, you're on a planet rotating at about 1,000 miles per hour at the equator. You don't feel it because you're rotating with it, but you're moving. The planet is also orbiting the sun at about 67,000 miles per hour. You're moving incredibly fast through space, but it feels still because you're moving with the planet. The planet, sun, and entire solar system are orbiting the galactic center at about 514,000 miles per hour. The galaxy itself is moving through space. You're traveling through the cosmos at extraordinary speed, and yet here you lie, feeling still. This is a beautiful metaphor for perspective. From one view, you're motionless. From another, you're hurtling through space at unimaginable velocity. Both are true. Both are real. Reality looks different from different perspectives, and no single perspective shows everything. The practice is to be able to shift between perspectives as needed, using each to see what it reveals. When you're caught in anxiety, you're locked in one perspective, the close-up view where your concerns fill your entire perceptual field. You can't see anything else. The cosmic perspective is an invitation to step back, to shift view, to see your concerns in context. Not to deny them, but to right-size them. Not to dismiss them, but to understand their actual scale and duration. This shift in perspective creates breathing room, reduces urgency, allows for wiser response. Marcus developed the ability to shift perspectives at will. In the midst of governing, he could remember cosmic scale. In the midst of war, he could remember impermanence. In the midst of loss, he could remember that all things pass. This wasn't denial of his circumstances. It was refusing to be crushed by circumstances through maintaining a wider view. He stayed functional and wise by not getting completely absorbed in the immediate. You can develop this same capacity. It takes practice like any skill. Start by practicing when you're relatively calm. Deliberately take the cosmic perspective. Imagine rising up and looking down at your life. Extend your view across space and time. Notice how your concerns appear from that altitude. Don't judge yourself if they still feel pressing. Just notice what the shift reveals. With practice, you'll be able to access this perspective more easily, even when you're anxious. The practice might go like this: I'm anxious about X. That's real. Now let me rise up. From 100 feet above, I see myself lying here with this anxiety. From a mile up, I see my city, with thousands of others also experiencing various forms of anxiety. From space, I see Earth, where billions of people are living their lives, many anxious about various things. From galactic distance, Earth is invisible. My anxiety is a fluctuation in one brain on a tiny planet. It will pass. The cosmos continues. I can breathe. I can rest. This isn't a magic formula that instantly eliminates anxiety, but it does create perspective. It does loosen the grip of immediate concerns. It does remind you that you're not facing a cosmic crisis. You're facing a human-scale challenge in a brief life on a small planet. You can meet that challenge without adding the weight of false significance. You can respond rather than react. You can maintain some equilibrium rather than being completely overwhelmed. Let's close this segment by consolidating what we've explored. The universe is vast beyond human comprehension, in both space and time. You exist at a tiny scale in a brief moment on a small planet. This isn't diminishment, it's accurate assessment. From this accurate assessment, you can distinguish between what actually matters and what merely seems to matter because you're too close to it. What actually matters? Living well with the time you have, developing your character, treating others with kindness and justice, using your reason wisely, contributing what you can to human flourishing, finding meaning in the quality of your choices rather than in outcomes you can't control. These things matter at every scale. They matter whether the universe is large or small, whether life is brief or long. They matter because they determine who you are and how you experience existence. What merely seems to matter? Most temporary circumstances, most concerns about reputation or status, most anxiety about outcomes you can't control, most of the specific situations that feel so pressing right now. These seem important from close up, but from cosmic perspective, they're tiny and temporary. Responding to them wisely is worthwhile, but treating them as if the universe hinges on them creates unnecessary suffering. You now have the tools of cosmic perspective. You can rise up and look down. You can extend your view across space and time. You can recognize your true scale and duration. You can distinguish between real and inflated importance. You can access the freedom that comes from seeing clearly. This wisdom is always available to you, no matter what concerns arise. The view from above is always possible, and it always reveals truth. Let's explore more deeply the nature of impermanence and what it means to exist in a universe where nothing stays the same. We've seen the vast scale of the cosmos, both in space and time. Now we'll look at the fundamental nature of change and how understanding this can bring profound peace to your restless mind. Everything you can perceive is changing. Your body replaces most of its cells every 7 to 10 years. The atoms in your body cycle through continuously, taken in through food and water, released through breath and waste. The you that exists now is not the same collection of matter that existed 10 years ago. You're a pattern, not a fixed thing. Process, not an object. This is scientifically true, and it echoes what the Stoics understood philosophically. Heraclitus, a pre-Socratic philosopher who influenced Stoic thinking, said you cannot step in the same river twice. The river is always flowing, always changing, always becoming something new while remaining recognizably a river. You are like this. Your cells change, your thoughts change, your feelings change, your circumstances change. Yet there's continuity, a pattern that persists through change. You are both constant and changing, both stable and flowing. The Stoics embraced this understanding of reality as flux. Marcus Aurelius wrote extensively about change, about how everything is in transition, how nothing remains fixed. He didn't find this disturbing. He found it clarifying. If everything changes, then clinging to anything creates suffering. If everything passes, then difficulties are temporary. If nothing stays the same, then there's no permanent problem, only a current situation that will transform into something else. Consider your current concerns from this perspective of universal flux. Whatever troubles you tonight is not a fixed reality. It's a current arrangement of circumstances, a temporary configuration. Even if you do nothing, it will change. Time itself transforms all situations. The question isn't whether change will come, but how you'll respond to it. Will you fight the fundamental nature of reality by demanding things stay the same? Or will you work with reality by accepting change and responding wisely to whatever comes? Think about a worry that consumed you a year ago. Can you even remember what it was? If you can remember, does it still feel as urgent as it did then? Probably not. Time and change resolved it, or made it irrelevant, or simply moved your life in a different direction. The worry that felt so permanent turned out to be temporary. The same will be true of your current worries. A year from now, they'll be in the past, resolved or superseded, no longer the pressing concern they feel like tonight. This recognition doesn't solve problems, but it takes the existential weight off them. You're not facing something permanent that will define your life forever. You're facing a temporary situation in a life made entirely of temporary situations. Each situation arises, persists for a while, and passes into the next. This is how life works. Accepting this allows you to engage with each situation without the added suffering of treating it as permanent. The Buddha, though not a Stoic, taught something remarkably similar. He identified attachment to impermanent things as the root of suffering. We attach to what cannot be held. We demand permanence from what is inherently temporary. We want our youth, our health, our relationships, our circumstances to stay unchanged. But change is the nature of all conditioned things. Fighting this nature creates suffering. Accepting it creates peace. The Stoics would agree. They taught that externals, everything outside your character and choices, are subject to fortune. Fortune is another word for the impersonal forces of change. Fortune gives and takes away. Weather changes. Economies rise and fall. Bodies age and fail. Relationships evolve and sometimes end. None of this is personal. None of it is punishment. It's simply the nature of temporary things to be temporary. When you lie awake worrying, you're often worrying about change. You're worried something good will end. You're worried something bad will continue. You're worried about a specific change that might occur. But change will occur regardless of your worry. The question is whether you can accept that change is fundamental and work with it, or whether you'll exhaust yourself trying to make things stay the same when that's impossible. Let's make this concrete by considering different timescales of change. At the shortest timescale, every moment is different from the last. Literally, the configuration of particles in your brain, in your body, in the room around you changes constantly. Nothing is truly still. Everything vibrates, moves, transforms at the molecular and atomic level. Stillness is an illusion created by the limitations of your perception. Reality is movement. At a slightly longer timescale, your thoughts change. One thought arises, persists briefly, and is replaced by another. Even if you try to hold one thought steady, it shifts and morphs. The racing mind you're trying to quiet is actually just rapid change of mental content. The thoughts themselves aren't the problem. It's identifying with them, believing they're permanent or true, that creates suffering. If you can see them as what they are, temporary mental events arising and passing, they lose much of their power. At a medium timescale, your moods and emotions change. You might be anxious now, but later tonight or tomorrow you'll feel differently. The anxiety isn't a permanent state of being. It's a temporary condition arising from current circumstances and thought patterns. Even without intervention, it will change. Moods are like weather patterns, sometimes stormy, sometimes calm, always moving, always temporary. You are not your mood. You're the awareness that observes moods arising and passing. At a longer time scale, your circumstances change. The situation you're in now, whatever it is, will not be your situation in a year. Maybe it will resolve. Maybe new factors will emerge. Maybe your perspective will shift. Maybe you'll be dealing with entirely different concerns. Life doesn't stay the same for long. Each phase passes into the next. Understanding this helps you avoid catastrophizing. Whatever difficulty you're facing isn't a life sentence. It's a chapter that will end. At an even longer timescale, you change. The person you are now is not who you were 10 years ago and won't be who you are 10 years from now. Your values evolve. Your understanding deepens. Your priorities shift. You learn and grow and change. The self is not fixed. You're becoming always a work in progress. This means that even if your current situation doesn't change quickly, you can change how you relate to it. You can develop new capacities, new wisdom, new ways of responding. Marcus Aurelius meditated on change constantly. He would observe how people he knew had aged and changed. He would notice how his own body was weakening as he grew older. He would see how political situations that seemed stable suddenly shifted. He would remember that previous emperors who seemed eternal were now dust and largely forgotten. All of this reinforced his understanding that impermanence is universal and fighting it is futile. But Marcus didn't become passive or despairing. He remained active, engaged, committed to living well. The recognition of impermanence didn't eliminate purpose. It clarified it. If nothing external lasts, then the only thing worth developing is your internal character. Wisdom, justice, courage, moderation. These qualities of character can be cultivated regardless of changing circumstances. They are the only things that are truly yours because they exist in your choices, not in external conditions. This is crucial for working with anxiety. Anxiety often arises from trying to control what cannot be controlled, from trying to prevent change that cannot be prevented. You worry about losing something, but everything will be lost eventually. You worry about things changing, but change is constant. You worry about uncertainty, but the future is always uncertain. Accepting these realities doesn't increase suffering. It reduces it by ending the futile struggle against nature. Consider how differently you might approach your concerns if you fully accepted impermanence. That relationship you're worried about, it will change no matter what. Either it will grow and deepen, or it will weaken and perhaps end, or it will transform into something different. Your worry won't prevent change. What you can do is appreciate it while you have it, treat the other person well, and accept that, like all things, it's temporary. This acceptance doesn't diminish love. It makes love more poignant and precious. That job situation you're anxious about, it will change. Jobs end, companies change, economies shift, your interests evolve. The job you have now, whether you love it or hate it, won't be your job forever. Accepting this helps you hold it more lightly. You can work well without desperate attachment to a particular outcome. You can do your best without believing your worth depends on this specific position. You can prepare for change rather than pretending it won't come. That health concern you're dwelling on, your body is changing constantly and will eventually fail completely. This isn't pessimism. It's biology. Bodies age, sicken, die. This has always been true and will always be true. Accepting mortality doesn't make you enjoy life less. It makes you appreciate it more. When you know time is limited, you use it more consciously. When you know health is temporary, you're grateful for the health you have. When you accept that pain and decline are part of being embodied, you suffer less when they arrive. The Stoics practiced negative visualization as a way of accepting impermanence. They would imagine losing the things they valued, not to torture themselves, but to prepare mentally and to cultivate appreciation. Seneca advised imagining that today might be your last day with a loved one. Not because it probably is, but because it could be. Any day could be the last. This recognition helps you appreciate each day, treat people well, avoid taking things for granted. It's accepting reality rather than living in denial. When you practice negative visualization, you're not inviting catastrophe. You're simply acknowledging what's always true. Everything is temporary. The person you love will die someday, or you will, ending the relationship either way. The wealth you have can be lost. The health you enjoy will decline. The youth you possess will age. These aren't pessimistic thoughts. They're realistic observations. And strangely, accepting them brings peace. When you stop pretending things will last forever, you can appreciate them more deeply while you have them. Let's explore the rhythm of change more deeply. Change isn't random or chaotic, though it can seem that way. There are patterns, cycles, rhythms. Seasons change in predictable ways. Day becomes night, becomes day. Tides rise and fall. These natural rhythms reflect underlying patterns in how change unfolds. The Stoics observed these patterns and tried to align themselves with them rather than fighting against them. Marcus wrote about the cyclical nature of human events. Empires rise and fall. Technologies emerge and become obsolete. Fashions change. What seems novel has usually happened before in some form. History doesn't repeat exactly, but it rhymes. Recognizing these patterns helps you see that your current situation, however unique it feels, is probably part of a larger cycle. It arose from previous conditions and will give way to future conditions. You're not facing something unprecedented. You're experiencing one phase of an ongoing process. This perspective is especially helpful for difficult periods. If you're in a hard time, remember that hard times pass. They always have throughout history. Winter becomes spring. Night becomes day. Economic downturns eventually recover. Personal struggles eventually ease or transform into something manageable. The rhythm of change ensures that nothing stays the same, including difficulties. This doesn't mean you should be passive, but it does mean you can trust that change will come even as you work to improve things. The same is true for good times. When things are going well, enjoy it fully, but don't expect it to last forever. Good times also pass. Success becomes challenge. Health becomes illness. Youth becomes age. This isn't to dampen appreciation, but to cultivate non-attachment. Enjoy without clinging. Appreciate without demanding permanence. This allows you to have good experiences without the fear of losing them, ruining those experiences. Think about the waves of an ocean. Each wave rises, crests, and falls. While it's rising, it's not worried about falling. While it's cresting, it's not trying to stay at the peak forever. It simply expresses its nature, rises and falls, and the ocean continues. Your life is like this. You rise and fall, experience ups and downs, and the larger life continues. You're not separate from the ocean. You're a wave expressing the ocean's nature temporarily. The Stoics used the metaphor of a river for this understanding. Life flows like a river. You can't stop the flow. You can't make it run backward. You can't hold any particular moment. All you can do is be present in the current, flowing with it rather than fighting against it. When you fight the current, you exhaust yourself. When you flow with it, you can navigate skillfully, but you're not in constant struggle. You accept the direction of flow while steering as best you can. This doesn't mean fatalism. You still make choices, take actions, work toward goals. But you do so while accepting that outcomes aren't entirely up to you, that circumstances will change regardless of your efforts, and that the only thing you truly control is how you respond to what happens. This acceptance creates freedom. You're free from the burden of trying to control what cannot be controlled. You're free to do your best without attachment to results. You're free to adapt when things change rather than breaking under the pressure of demanding they stay the same. Let's consider what impermanence means for identity. Who are you really if everything about you is changing? Your body changes. Your thoughts change. Your feelings change. Your circumstances change. Your memories change, as memory is reconstructive, not a perfect record. Your relationships change. Your beliefs change. What remains constant enough to be called you? The Stoics would say your capacity for reason remains. Your ability to observe, think, choose. This capacity exists throughout your life, even as its content changes. You're not your thoughts. You're the awareness that observes thoughts. You're not your emotions. You're the one who experiences emotions. You're not your body. You're the consciousness that inhabits a body. This essential capacity, your rational soul in Stoic terms, is what you actually are. Everything else is temporary content passing through. This recognition is deeply freeing. If you're not your anxious thoughts, then anxiety doesn't define you. If you're not your difficult circumstances, then circumstances don't determine your worth. If you're not your past mistakes, then mistakes don't permanently stain you. You're the constant observer of changing content. The content will keep changing, as is its nature. But you, the observer, remain capable of wisdom and virtue regardless of what passes through. Modern psychology recognizes something similar in the concept of the observing self versus the experiencing self. The experiencing self is caught up in moment-to-moment content, in thoughts and feelings and sensations. The observing self can step back and notice what the experiencing self is going through without being completely identified with it. Developing your observing self creates psychological flexibility. You can notice anxiety without being consumed by it. You can observe racing thoughts without believing you are your racing thoughts. This is what you're practicing when you take the cosmic perspective. You're strengthening your observing self. You're rising up, looking down, seeing your experiencing self from a distance. The experiencing self feels anxiety, replays worries, projects catastrophes. The observing self can notice all this happening and recognize it as temporary content, not ultimate reality. Both are you, but identifying primarily with the observing self creates much more peace than identifying with the experiencing self. The Buddhist tradition calls this non-attachment. You experience things without grasping at pleasant experiences or pushing away unpleasant ones. You let experiences arise and pass naturally, like weather. The Stoics called it maintaining equanimity or keeping your ruling faculty pure. Same basic insight. Don't identify completely with temporary content. Maintain some distance, some perspective, some recognition that this too shall pass. Let's practice this right now. Notice what you're experiencing in this moment. Perhaps there's physical sensation, the feeling of lying down, temperature, sounds. Perhaps there's mental content, thoughts arising, maybe worries or plans or random associations. Perhaps there's emotion, anxiety or calm or something in between. Just notice what's present without judging it or trying to change it. Now notice that you're noticing. There's awareness of the experience. This awareness is different from the content it's aware of. The thoughts come and go, but awareness remains. The sensations change, but awareness continues. You are this awareness more fundamentally than you are any particular content. This awareness is the part of you that can take the cosmic perspective, that can rise up and look down, that can observe without being completely swept up. Rest in this awareness for a moment, not thinking about it, but being it. Just pure observing without judgment, without effort, without trying to change anything. This is what the Stoics meant by your inner citadel, the place within that remains free regardless of external circumstances or even internal mental states. It's always accessible. It's always peaceful because it's not caught up in the drama of changing content. It simply observes, aware, present. From this place of awareness, impermanence isn't threatening. Change is just what you observe. Thoughts arise and pass. Feelings come and go. Circumstances shift. But awareness remains constant, clear, capable. You can rest here in simple awareness and let everything else flow past. This is perhaps the deepest peace available to human beings, not through achieving perfect circumstances, but through recognizing your essential nature as awareness itself. Marcus Aurelius practiced something similar. He would remind himself to retreat to his inner citadel, that place within that couldn't be invaded or disturbed by external events. He was describing this awareness, this observing capacity that remains stable even when everything else is in flux. He knew that as long as he maintained access to this inner refuge, he could handle whatever came. Not because external events didn't matter, but because his essential self wasn't dependent on external events going a particular way. Let's apply this understanding to your specific worries. Whatever concerns brought you here tonight, whatever keeps your mind active, consider it from the perspective of impermanence and flowing awareness. The concern is real, certainly. It exists as content in your consciousness right now. But it's not permanent. It arose from certain conditions and will pass when conditions change. It will likely be gone or transformed by tomorrow, certainly by next week, almost definitely by next month. You, the awareness observing this concern, will remain. You were aware before this concern arose. You'll be aware after it passes. You're the constant through which temporary content flows. The concern doesn't define you, doesn't limit your essential capacity, doesn't determine your worth. It's weather in the mind, and you're the sky through which weather moves. Sky isn't disturbed by passing storms. It simply allows them to pass through. This perspective doesn't mean you ignore the concern or pretend it doesn't matter. If action is possible and appropriate, you'll take it tomorrow. If the concern points to something that needs attention, you'll attend to it. But you can do these things from a place of stable awareness rather than from identification with the worry. You can respond wisely rather than react compulsively. You can engage with the situation without losing yourself in it. Seneca wrote about this balance. He was a wealthy, powerful man engaged deeply in Roman politics and business. He didn't withdraw from life, but he maintained philosophical practice that kept him from being completely swept up in the drama of his circumstances. He could engage fully while maintaining perspective. He could care about outcomes while accepting that outcomes weren't entirely up to him. He could lose his wealth in exile without losing his peace, because his peace didn't depend on wealth. This is the freedom impermanence offers. If nothing external is permanent, if everything can be lost, then you're free to enjoy what you have without desperate clinging. You can work toward goals without believing your worth depends on achieving them. You can love deeply without the fear of loss destroying your capacity to love. You're free because you know the ultimate security doesn't come from external circumstances staying the same. It comes from your own inner stability, your capacity to meet whatever arises. Think about people you know or have read about who faced major losses, death of loved ones, loss of health, financial ruin, and somehow maintained their dignity and even found peace. They're not superhuman. They've simply learned what the Stoics taught, that your essential self isn't dependent on externals, that you can lose everything external and still maintain your character, your wisdom, your capacity for virtue, that the worst external circumstances cannot destroy your inner freedom unless you surrender it. This recognition transforms how you relate to potential losses. If you're worried about losing something, money, health, a relationship, a job, ask yourself, if I lost this, would I still be capable of wisdom? Would I still be able to respond with virtue? Would I still have my capacity for reason and choice? The answer is yes. External losses don't eliminate these internal capacities. You would adapt, learn, grow, eventually find equilibrium in the new situation. You're more resilient than you think because your essential self is more robust than your circumstances. The cosmic perspective reinforces this. From vast distance and deep time, your external circumstances appear tiny and temporary. They're like patterns in sand on a beach, lasting briefly before the tide comes. But your character, how you respond, the wisdom you develop, these ripple outward and create effects. A kind word influences someone who influences others. A wise choice creates a precedent you'll follow later. The development of your own character is the one thing you create that has any lasting significance, and even that is temporary in cosmic terms but meaningful in human terms. Let's consider the rhythm of your own life. You've been through many changes already. Childhood became adolescence, became adulthood. You've lived in different places, had different relationships, held different jobs or roles. Some changes were chosen, some were thrust upon you. Some were welcome, some were difficult. But you navigated all of them. You adapted. You survived. You're here now, different from who you were but still recognizably you, still capable, still growing. This track record is evidence of your resilience. You've handled every challenge you've faced so far, otherwise you wouldn't be here. Even when things felt unbearable, you bore them. Even when you thought you couldn't adapt, you did. This doesn't mean future challenges will be easy, but it does suggest you'll probably handle them too. You have a history of navigating change successfully. Trust that capacity. It's proven and reliable. The worry you're experiencing tonight is probably about future change. You're imagining a difficult scenario and rehearsing how bad it might be. But notice what this does. It makes you suffer now about something that hasn't happened and may never happen. You're experiencing the pain of imagined loss without any of the actual growth or adaptation you'd experience if the loss actually occurred. This is the peculiar torture of anxiety, suffering in advance without benefit. The Stoic alternative is to recognize that the future hasn't happened. It's not real yet. It's potential, possibility, but not actuality. Right now, in this present moment, the catastrophe you're worried about isn't happening. Right now, you're lying safely, breathing, with this moment available to you. This moment is actually manageable, possibly even peaceful if you can release the future projections and be here now. Marcus wrote, "Confine yourself to the present." This was advice he gave himself repeatedly. The present moment is all you actually have. The past is gone, existing only in memory. The future hasn't arrived, existing only in imagination. Only now is real. Only now can you actually live, respond, choose. When you're lost in past or future, you miss the only time that actually exists. And ironically, the present moment is usually less problematic than the past or future your mind creates. Try this. Just for a moment, release all concern about past and future. Come completely into this present moment. What's actually happening right now? You're here in a body, breathing, aware. Perhaps there's some discomfort, physical or mental, but nothing is imminently threatening in this moment. The present is manageable. It's the past and future that create overwhelm. This moment, just this one, is something you can be with. And life is only ever lived one moment at a time. The practice is to keep returning to the present. Your mind will wander to past or future, it's designed to do that. But each time you notice it's wandered, you can gently return. Not with force or frustration, but with patient redirection. Like training a puppy, you don't scold when it wanders. You just bring it back. Eventually, the puppy learns. Eventually, your mind gets better at staying present. It takes practice, but it's perhaps the most valuable practice you can develop. Impermanence also means your current mental state is temporary. If you're anxious now, you won't be anxious forever. The anxiety will pass as all mental states pass. Maybe it will pass tonight, maybe tomorrow, but it will pass. This is guaranteed by the nature of change. Nothing mental stays the same for long. Moods shift, thoughts move on. Even persistent anxiety eventually lifts or transforms into something else. You're not stuck in this state permanently, even if it feels that way. This recognition can be deeply comforting when you're struggling. The struggle is temporary. The difficulty will pass. The intensity will decrease. Change ensures this. You don't have to figure out how to make it pass. It will pass on its own because that's what temporary things do. Your job isn't to eliminate the difficulty by force, but to navigate it wisely until it transforms naturally into something else. The Stoics spoke of going with the grain of the universe. The grain is change, flow, impermanence. When you work with this grain, life becomes easier. When you fight against it, demanding permanence and control, life becomes a constant struggle. This doesn't mean passivity. It means wise engagement. It means doing what you can while accepting what you cannot change. It means responding to what is rather than fighting against the nature of reality. Consider how much of your anxiety is actually resistance to change. You want something to stay the same. You want certainty about the future. You want control over outcomes. These desires are natural but ultimately futile because they fight against the fundamental nature of existence. Everything changes. The future is uncertain. Outcomes depend on countless factors beyond your control. Accepting these truths doesn't mean giving up. It means ending the futile struggle against reality so you can engage with reality as it actually is. From the cosmic perspective, this is even clearer. The universe has been changing for 13.8 billion years. Galaxies form and disperse. Stars are born and die. Planets coalesce and eventually break apart. Everything at every scale is in flux. The idea that your life or circumstances should somehow be exempt from this universal law is absurd when seen from cosmic distance. You're not special in being subject to change. You're typical. Change is how the universe works, and you're part of the universe. But this doesn't diminish your experience. Contextualizes it. You're experiencing what billions of conscious beings have experienced. The challenge of navigating change and impermanence. You're part of an ancient pattern, dealing with fundamental aspects of existence. This is the human condition, shared across all times and places. You're not alone in this. You're deeply, profoundly connected to all humans who've ever grappled with these same challenges. The Stoics found comfort in this universality. Marcus would remind himself that everyone faces difficulty. Everyone loses people they love. Everyone experiences setbacks and disappointments. Everyone ages and eventually dies. These are not personal afflictions, but universal experiences. Seeing this reduces the feeling of isolation that often comes with struggle. You're not being singled out by fate. You're simply being human, and human life includes both joy and difficulty, both stability and change. Let's bring this exploration toward a close by consolidating what we've discovered about impermanence. Everything changes, nothing stays the same. Permanence is an illusion created by limited perception. This is reality, not philosophy or belief. as how things actually are. You can resist this truth and suffer from the resistance, or you can accept it and find peace in acceptance. Accepting impermanence doesn't mean becoming detached or not caring. The Stoics cared deeply. Marcus loved his children even though he knew they would die. Seneca valued his friendships even though he knew they were temporary. Epictetus taught his students even though he knew they would eventually leave. They cared precisely because things were temporary. The brevity of life makes it precious, not worthless. The impermanence of relationships makes them valuable, not meaningless. You can care deeply while knowing everything is temporary. In fact, you can care more deeply because you're not taking things for granted. When you know your time with someone is limited, you appreciate each moment more. When you know your health will eventually decline, you use your healthy years more consciously. When you know opportunities won't last forever, you engage with them more fully. Impermanence creates urgency to live well now, not passivity. The cosmic perspective shows you that impermanence is universal, from the quantum to the cosmic scale. Nothing escapes change, but it also shows you that meaning doesn't depend on permanence. A brief life can be meaningful. A temporary relationship can be profound. A moment of beauty or insight or connection has value in itself, regardless of how long it lasts. The universe is full of temporary phenomena that are nonetheless beautiful and significant. You're one such phenomenon. As you rest here tonight, you can practice accepting impermanence. Whatever concerns you're holding, recognize them as temporary. They arose from certain conditions and will pass when conditions change. This doesn't mean they don't matter now, but it does mean you don't need to carry them as if they're permanent weights. Their passing weather in the mind, and weather always changes eventually. You can also recognize your own impermanence without fear. Yes, you will age, weaken, and die. This is shared human fate. But knowing this helps you live more consciously. It helps you distinguish between what truly matters and what's just noise. It helps you appreciate what you have while you have it. It helps you develop your character, since that's the only thing you can truly cultivate. Mortality clarifies purpose. From cosmic perspective, your brief life is a remarkable opportunity. Out of all the matter in the universe, some of it temporarily organized into a conscious being capable of reflection, choice, wisdom, love, beauty, virtue. This arrangement won't last long in cosmic terms, but while it lasts, it's extraordinary. You get to experience existence from a unique viewpoint. You get to make choices that ripple outward. You get to develop qualities of character that matter regardless of scale. The racing mind that keeps you awake is trying to protect you by obsessing over threats and rehearsing scenarios. But it's doing so from a limited perspective that treats everything as permanent and personally significant. The cosmic perspective, combined with understanding impermanence, liberates you from this limited view. Your concerns are real but temporary. Your life is brief but meaningful. Your circumstances will change, but your capacity for wisdom remains. This is truth, and truth sets you free. Rest now in this understanding. Impermanence means nothing stays the same, including difficulty. Change means your current state is temporary, including anxiety. Flow means you're not stuck, you're moving through situations that will transform. The universe continues its ancient dance of form and dissolution, and you're a brief part of that dance, capable of moving gracefully rather than struggling against the rhythm. Accept the flow, trust change, release the demand for permanence, and in that release find peace. Let's make the cosmic perspective deeply practical. We've explored the vast scale of the universe, the nature of impermanence, and the flowing nature of existence. Now we'll look at specific ways to apply this wisdom to your daily life, and particularly to those moments when anxiety threatens to overwhelm you. The cosmic perspective is not meant to be an interesting intellectual exercise that you contemplate occasionally and then forget. It's meant to be a tool you can access whenever you need it, a practice that becomes second nature, a way of seeing that transforms how you experience life. The Stoics practiced these perspectives daily, not once in a while. They made it a habit like physical exercise, understanding that consistent practice creates lasting change. Let's start with a simple daily practice you can implement immediately. Each morning, before you engage with the day's demands, take a few moments to remember cosmic scale. You might look at the sky and remember that you're on a planet orbiting a star in a vast galaxy. You might recall that your day is one day in a brief life on an ancient planet. You might remind yourself that from cosmic distance, your concerns are tiny and temporary. This takes only a moment, but it sets a foundation for the day. This morning practice doesn't make problems disappear, but it right-sizes them. The difficult conversation you're facing is still difficult, but it's not a cosmic crisis. The deadline pressuring you is still real, but it's not permanent. The worry occupying your mind is still present, but it's not as large as it feels when you're identified with it completely. Starting the day with perspective helps you maintain that perspective throughout the day. You can also practice the cosmic perspective during challenging moments. When you feel anxiety rising, when a situation feels overwhelming, when you're caught in worry, pause, take a breath, and then deliberately shift perspective. Imagine rising up, looking down at yourself in this situation. Continue rising, seeing your location in context, your city, your region, Earth, the solar system, the galaxy. This mental movement, which takes only seconds once you've practiced it, creates immediate space. The key is making this a reflex rather than something you only remember later. This requires practice. You might set reminders on your phone to pause and take the cosmic perspective. You might link it to certain activities every time you feel your shoulders tense, or every time you check your phone, or every time you start a new task. The more you practice, the more automatic it becomes. Eventually, you'll find yourself naturally taking this perspective when you need it. Let's walk through specific common situations and how to apply cosmic perspective to each. Situation 1. You're anxious about an upcoming performance or evaluation. Maybe it's a work presentation, a test, a performance, an interview. The anxiety makes it feel enormous, as if everything depends on this one event. From ground level, identified with the anxiety, it feels like your worth is on the line, like failure would be catastrophic. Apply the cosmic perspective. Rise up and look down. You're one person preparing for one event on one day in your life. This event is not your life. It's one moment in your life. Rise higher. Millions of people are preparing for similar challenges right now. This is a common human experience, not a unique crisis. Rise even higher. From space, this event is invisible. The universe doesn't know or care how it goes. 1,000 years from now, it will be completely forgotten. From this perspective, you can see more clearly. The event matters to you, certainly. It's worth preparing for and doing your best. But it doesn't determine your worth as a person. It doesn't define your life. It's not a permanent condition. There's one event that will pass, and then your life will continue. This recognition doesn't eliminate the need to prepare, but it eliminates the added burden of treating it as if your existence hinges on it. Situation 2. Someone has criticized you or treated you poorly. You're replaying the interaction, feeling hurt or angry or defensive. From ground level, it feels personal, important, as if it says something fundamental about you or your relationship with this person. The emotional reaction is strong, and the thoughts keep circling. Apply the cosmic perspective. Rise up and look down. You're two humans who had a difficult interaction. This happens millions of times daily around the world. It's unpleasant but common. Rise higher. This interaction is one moment in both your lives. Whatever was said will be forgotten by both of you eventually, probably sooner than you think. Rise even higher. From cosmic distance, human conflicts appear as tiny fluctuations, brief agitations on a small planet. They matter to those involved but have no cosmic significance. From this perspective, you can respond more wisely. The criticism might contain useful information worth considering, or it might reflect the other person's issues more than your actual flaws. Either way, it's not a catastrophe. It's data, feedback, one person's perspective. You can consider it without being destroyed by it. You can set boundaries if needed without being overwhelmed by emotion. You can remember that this too shall pass, as all conflicts eventually do. Situation 3, you're worried about your health. Perhaps a symptom appeared, or a test result was concerning, or you're just aware that your body is aging and vulnerable. From ground level, health concerns can feel overwhelming, as if your body is betraying you, as if illness would make life not worth living. Apply the cosmic perspective. Rise up and look down. You're one biological organism among billions on Earth. All organisms age, sicken, and eventually die. This is nature working as nature works. It's not personal or unfair. It's universal. Rise higher. Every human who has ever lived has dealt with physical vulnerability. You're experiencing what everyone experiences. Rise even higher. From cosmic scale, individual bodies are temporary arrangements of matter. They form, exist briefly, and dissolve back into elements. This is how material reality works at every scale. From this perspective, you can be both realistic and peaceful. Yes, bodies are vulnerable. Yes, illness and aging are real. But these facts don't make life meaningless. They make it precious. The time you have in a healthy body is valuable precisely because it's limited. You can take reasonable care of yourself without obsessing. You can face health challenges without treating them as ultimate catastrophes. You can recognize that your essential self, your awareness and capacity for wisdom, remains even as the body changes. Situation 4. You're dealing with a loss, perhaps a relationship ended, a job was lost, a loved one died, a hoped-for outcome didn't materialize. Grief and disappointment feel overwhelming. From ground level, it feels like a part of your life has been destroyed, like things will never be okay again. Apply the cosmic perspective. Rise up and look down. You're experiencing loss, which is painful but universal. Every human loses things and people they value. This is the cost of caring about anything impermanent, which is everything. Rise higher. This loss is one event in your unfolding life. Before this loss, there were other chapters. After working through this loss, there will be new chapters. The pain is real but temporary. Time will transform it. Rise even higher. From vast perspective, everything is always being lost. Forms constantly dissolve and new forms arise. The universe is an endless process of creation and destruction at every scale. From this perspective, you can grieve without being destroyed by grief. Loss hurts precisely because what was lost mattered. The pain is proportional to the value. This is appropriate and healthy, but the pain won't last forever at this intensity. You'll adapt, as humans have always adapted to loss. You'll find meaning again, perhaps in different ways. You'll continue because life continues, always flowing forward. The cosmic perspective doesn't eliminate grief, but it provides context that prevents grief from becoming despair. Situation 5. You're overwhelmed by the state of the world. News reports of conflict, injustice, environmental destruction, suffering at large scale. From ground level, it feels unbearable, like everything is falling apart, like individual efforts are meaningless against such enormous problems. Apply the cosmic perspective. Rise up and look down. Human civilization has always had problems. Every generation has faced challenges. Some were solved, some weren't, new ones emerged. This is the pattern of human history. Rise higher. The problems are real but not unprecedented. Humans have navigated difficulty before. Some civilizations fell, others rose. Life adapted. The species continued. Rise even higher. From cosmic perspective, human civilization is a very recent emergence. Whatever happens, including potential extinction, is part of the vast unfolding of the universe. Species emerge and go extinct. This is how evolution works. From this perspective, you can engage without being paralyzed. Yes, there are serious problems. Yes, they matter. But your anxiety about them doesn't help solve them. What helps is wise action in your sphere of influence. You can do your small part, contribute what you can, without carrying the weight of believing you personally must save the world. You're one person doing what one person can do. That's enough. The cosmic perspective shows you that your individual efforts are both tiny in scale and potentially meaningful in their ripples. Do what you can, accept what you can't control, and trust that the universe will continue unfolding. Now let's look at how to integrate cosmic perspective into evening and nighttime routines, since that's often when anxiety is most challenging. As day ends and activity decreases, the mind often becomes more active, filling the space with worries. This is when cosmic perspective is especially valuable. Before sleep, practice a brief cosmic perspective meditation. You might lie in bed and imagine yourself from above, seeing your room, your building, your city expanding outward. Or you might visualize the day you just lived as one day among all the days of your life, which are themselves a brief span in human history, which is itself a moment in cosmic time. This expansion of view helps transition from the focused intensity of daily life into the more relaxed state conducive to sleep. If you wake during the night with racing thoughts, cosmic perspective can help. Rather than engaging with the content of the thoughts, which usually makes them multiply, shift to perspective. These are thoughts arising in one mind on one planet. They feel urgent, but they're temporary. The universe is vast and I am small, and these concerns will pass. This isn't dismissing your concerns, but seeing them accurately, which reduces their power to disturb you. You can also practice what Marcus Aurelius practiced, viewing your concerns as if you're already at the end of your life looking back. From that vantage point, which concerns would actually matter? Which would you see as having been worth your energy? This future perspective often reveals that most of what occupies us daily is ultimately trivial. The things that matter from life's end, relationships, character, kindness, growth, these are usually not what keeps us awake worrying. Let's make this even more concrete with a step-by-step process you can use anytime anxiety arises. Step 1. Notice and name. Recognize that anxiety is present. Name it simply. This is anxiety. This creates a small space between you and the feeling. You're not the anxiety. You're the one noticing anxiety. Step 2. Identify the concern. What specifically are you anxious about? Name it clearly. I'm worried about tomorrow's meeting. Or, I'm anxious about my health, or I'm replaying what I said today. Clarity about content is important. Step 3. Take the view from above. Imagine rising up and looking down at yourself with this concern. See yourself as one person in one situation at one moment in time. Continue rising, expanding the view until Earth is just a point. Hold this vast perspective for a moment. Step 4. Ask the scaling questions. From this vast perspective, how large is this concern actually? How long will it last? How much will it matter in a year? In 10 years? From my deathbed? These questions right-size the concern. Step 5. Return to the present. Come back down to where you are. The concern may still be present, but you've created space around it. You've seen it more accurately. Now you can ask, is there anything I can actually do about this right now? If yes, do it or plan to do it tomorrow. If no, consciously release it. Step 6. Anchor in the present moment. Notice your breath, your body, sounds around you. Return to what's actually happening right now, which is usually manageable. Rest in the present rather than in thoughts about past or future. This process takes practice, but it becomes quicker and more natural with repetition. Eventually, just remembering to take the cosmic perspective is enough. You don't need to go through all the steps formally. The mere memory that you can rise up and see from distance creates the space you need. Let's address a common concern. Doesn't the cosmic perspective make everything meaningless? If we're so small and temporary, why does anything matter? This is a misunderstanding the Stoics specifically addressed. Meaning doesn't come from size or duration. It comes from quality of experience and choice. A brief, beautiful moment is meaningful in itself. A kind action is valuable regardless of scale. Your choices about how to live, how to respond, who to be, these create meaning by their very nature. The cosmic perspective shows you what doesn't matter as much as you think. Status, reputation, most external outcomes. But it simultaneously clarifies what does matter. Your character, your wisdom, how you treat others, whether you live with integrity. These things matter at any scale. They matter because they determine the quality of your experience and the nature of your impact, however small, on others and the world. Marcus Aurelius had perhaps the largest sphere of influence anyone could have, ruling an empire. Yet he maintained cosmic perspective. He knew his empire would fall. He knew his name would be forgotten by most. He knew his impact was ultimately small in cosmic terms. But this didn't make him passive or nihilistic. It freed him to focus on what he could control. Governing justly, maintaining his character, treating people well, developing wisdom. These things mattered regardless of their cosmic significance. You can do the same. Your sphere of influence is probably smaller than Marcus's, but the principle is identical. Do what you can with what you have where you are. Your small acts of kindness, wisdom, and integrity matter, not because they'll echo through eternity, but because they create value in the moments they occur. They improve the quality of your life and others' lives right now. That's enough. That's meaningful. Let's also address how cosmic perspective relates to ambition and goals. Does taking this vast view mean you shouldn't have goals or work toward achievements? Not at all. The Stoics were often quite accomplished. Marcus governed an empire. Seneca was wealthy and influential. Epictetus taught and wrote. They had goals and worked toward them, but they held their goals lightly, understanding that outcomes weren't entirely up to them. You can be ambitious while maintaining cosmic perspective. The difference is that you don't attach your worth to achieving specific outcomes. You work hard because the work itself is meaningful, because excellence is worth pursuing, because contributing your best is how you honor your capacity. But you don't break if things don't work out. You don't measure your value by external achievements. You recognize that from cosmic distance, whether you succeed or fail at your specific goals matters very little. What matters is whether you engaged with integrity and wisdom. This creates a paradoxical freedom. You can pursue goals wholeheartedly while simultaneously holding them lightly. You give your full effort because that's what virtue requires. But you're not desperately attached to results because you understand results depend on many factors outside your control. This is how cosmic perspective supports rather than undermines achievement. It removes the crippling anxiety that comes from believing everything depends on you achieving this specific outcome. Let's talk about relationships from cosmic perspective. You love certain people deeply. This love is real and important. Cosmic perspective doesn't diminish it, but it does add a layer of poignant awareness. These relationships are temporary. Everyone you love will die or you will, ending the relationship either way. From cosmic time, even the longest relationship is brief. This awareness makes relationships more precious, not less. It encourages you to appreciate people while you have them, to treat them well, to avoid taking them for granted. The cosmic perspective also helps when relationships are difficult. Conflicts that seem huge when you're in them appear smaller from distance. The disagreement you're having is one disagreement in one relationship in one brief life. It feels enormous right now, but it's temporary and resolvable. This doesn't mean conflict doesn't matter, but it prevents you from treating every disagreement as if it's the end of the world. You can engage with the conflict more skillfully when you're not overwhelmed by its apparent magnitude. Cosmic perspective also helps with social anxiety, that worry about what others think of you. From close up, others' opinions seem crucial, but rise up and look down. Others are thinking primarily about themselves, not about you. Their thoughts about you are temporary and constantly changing. From cosmic distance, reputation is just patterns of thought in minds that will eventually cease. The whole drama of reputation, of being judged or admired, appears tiny and brief. This recognition helps you focus on being authentic rather than managing others' perceptions. Let's consider how cosmic perspective relates to mortality, which is often at the root of anxiety even when we don't realize it. Much worry is actually death anxiety in disguise. You worry about health because you fear death. You worry about security because you fear the vulnerability of being mortal. You worry about legacy because you fear being forgotten. Cosmic perspective addresses mortality directly rather than letting it operate in the shadows. From cosmic perspective, death is natural and universal. Every organism that has ever lived has died. You will too. This is not tragedy. It's biology. Moreover, from deep time perspective, you've already been dead for billions of years before you were born. Non-existence is the default state. Your brief life is the anomaly, the temporary arrangement of matter into consciousness. Death is simply returning to what has always been the case. This perspective doesn't make death pleasant or welcome, but it does make it less frightening. You're not being singled out for a terrible fate. You're experiencing what every conscious being experiences. The universe has been here long before you and will continue long after. Your death is significant to you and to those who love you, but it's not cosmically significant. This recognition paradoxically makes life more valuable. The brief time you have becomes precious. The moments you have now become more worth appreciating. The Stoics practiced memento mori, remembering death, not to be morbid but to be realistic and to clarify priorities. From the perspective of your eventual death, what matters now? How do you want to use the time you have? What deserves your attention and energy? These questions cut through trivia and help you focus on what's genuinely important. Cosmic perspective serves the same function. It's a reminder that time is limited and most of what occupies us is ultimately insignificant. Let's make this practical for tonight, for the concerns keeping you awake. Take whatever specific worry you're holding and apply everything we've discussed. Name the concern clearly. Take the view from above, rising up through increasing scales until Earth is just a point. Ask the scaling questions. How large is this really? How long will it matter? What can I actually control? Then return to the present moment and ask, what's actually happening right now? Usually, the answer is that right now, this moment is actually okay. The problem is in thoughts about past or future, not in present reality. You can then make a conscious choice. You can continue engaging with worry, which serves no useful purpose and prevents rest. Or you can acknowledge the concern, commit to addressing it appropriately tomorrow if needed, and choose to release it for now. This is your power, not to control circumstances, but to choose where you place your attention. Cosmic perspective supports this choice by showing you that the concern isn't as urgent or overwhelming as it feels from ground level. As we bring this practical section to a close, remember that cosmic perspective is a tool, not a destination. You don't need to stay at cosmic scale all the time. You have a human life to live at human scale. But you can visit cosmic perspective regularly, like climbing a mountain to see the landscape, then returning to the valley with better understanding. Each visit makes the perspective more accessible. Each practice strengthens your ability to shift view when you need it. The goal is flexibility, the ability to zoom in and zoom out as needed. Sometimes you need close focus to engage with specific tasks. Sometimes you need vast perspective to maintain equilibrium. The wisdom is knowing when to use which view and being able to shift between them fluidly. This flexibility is what Marcus cultivated. He could govern details while maintaining cosmic perspective. He could care about specifics while knowing their ultimate insignificance. You can develop the same flexibility. Practice the cosmic perspective daily. In the morning, to start your day with proper scale. During challenges, to maintain equilibrium. In the evening, to release the day and prepare for rest. In the middle of the night, if anxiety wakes you, make it a reflex, a habit, a natural part of how you navigate life. The more you practice, the more it becomes part of you, transforming how you experience everything. And remember always, you are both infinitesimally small and profoundly significant. Small in cosmic scale and duration, but significant in your capacity for consciousness, wisdom, virtue, love, beauty. You're a way the universe experiences itself, a temporary arrangement of stardust capable of contemplating the cosmos that created you. That's remarkable. That's worth appreciating. That's meaningful regardless of scale. Use the cosmic perspective to free yourself from false burdens, from inflated concerns, from the tyranny of believing everything depends on you. But don't use it to dismiss genuine meaning or to avoid engagement with life. Use it to see clearly, to choose wisely, to live well in the brief time you have. This is what the Stoics taught and practiced. This is what's available to you right now, tonight, as you rest and prepare to meet tomorrow with wisdom and perspective. The vast cosmos continues its ancient unfolding. You're a tiny part of that unfolding, but while you're here, your experience matters, your choices matter, your character matters. Live accordingly. Rest now in this understanding. The universe holds you. The stars shine whether you worry or rest. Tomorrow will come regardless. For now, this moment, this breath, this awareness, this is all you need. This is enough. You are enough. Rest. As we move into this final portion of our cosmic journey together, let's gently gather everything we've explored and consider how to carry this wisdom forward into your life. We've traveled vast distances in imagination, from your immediate location to the edges of the observable universe. We've traversed deep time, from this present moment to billions of years in both directions. We've explored impermanence and the flowing nature of all existence. Now we integrate these insights into something sustainable, something you can return to whenever you need perspective and peace. The cosmic perspective is not something you learn once and then possess forever. It's a practice, a way of seeing that must be cultivated repeatedly. Just as physical fitness requires ongoing exercise, mental and philosophical fitness requires ongoing practice. The good news is that each time you practice, it becomes slightly easier. The neural pathways strengthen. The perspective becomes more accessible. What initially requires deliberate effort eventually becomes more natural. Think of yourself as building a mountain refuge. When life becomes overwhelming at sea level, you can climb to this refuge and see the landscape from above. At first, the climb is difficult and unfamiliar, but each time you make the journey, you know the path better. Eventually, you can find your way even in darkness. Eventually, just remembering the refuge exists provides comfort. The cosmic perspective is this refuge, always available, always offering clarity when the ground-level view becomes too confusing or overwhelming. Let's consolidate the key insights you can take forward. First, you exist at a tiny scale in a vast universe. This is not diminishment but accurate assessment. From this recognition comes freedom. You don't have to carry the weight of cosmic significance. Your problems, real as they are to you, are not universal crises. The universe is not watching to see how your specific situations resolve. This removes false pressure and allows you to engage with life more lightly, doing your best without the burden of believing everything depends on you. Second, everything is temporary. The universe is approximately 13.8 billion years old. Your life, at most, is perhaps 100 years. Your current circumstances are just one configuration in a constantly changing flow. Your worries are temporary mental events. Your difficulties are temporary situations. Even your joys are temporary, which makes them more precious. Nothing lasts forever, which means nothing is permanent, including problems. This recognition helps you hold everything more lightly, appreciating what you have while you have it, responding to difficulties without treating them as permanent conditions. Third, impermanence means you're not stuck. Whatever your current situation, it will change. Maybe through your actions, maybe through forces beyond your control, but change is guaranteed. This is both sobering and hopeful. Sobering because good times don't last. Hopeful because bad times also don't last. The flow continues, always carrying everything forward. You can work with this flow rather than exhausting yourself fighting against it. You can adapt, adjust, respond wisely to whatever comes, knowing that what comes will not stay. Fourth, meaning doesn't depend on scale or duration. A brief life can be deeply meaningful. A small act can create genuine value. Your choices about how to live, how to respond, who to be, these matter regardless of cosmic insignificance. Character, wisdom, kindness, integrity, these qualities have inherent worth. They matter because they determine the quality of your experience and your impact on others. From cosmic distance, they may be invisible, but that doesn't make them less real or valuable. The universe may not care about your choices, but you care, and that's enough. Fifth, you're not separate from the cosmos but part of it. The atoms in your body were forged in ancient stars. The oxygen you breathe was created by plants and ocean life. The thoughts you think arise from a brain that evolved over billions of years. You're thoroughly embedded in the universe, a way the cosmos experiences itself temporarily. This recognition can shift your sense of isolation. You're not a separate self struggling alone in an indifferent universe. You're an expression of the universe, briefly conscious, connected to everything through deep time and vast processes. Sixth, your essential self is your awareness, your capacity to observe, think, and choose. Everything else, circumstances, thoughts, emotions, even your body, these are temporary content passing through awareness. When you identify with awareness itself rather than with the content it's aware of, you find a stability that circumstances can't touch. This is what the Stoics meant by the inner citadel, the place within that remains free regardless of what's happening outside or even inside your mind. These insights work together to create a way of being in the world that's both engaged and free. Engaged because you recognize that your brief life is an opportunity to develop character, to contribute what you can, to experience beauty and connection and growth. Free because you're not crushed by false significance, not desperate about outcomes you can't control, not broken by changes you can't prevent. You can care deeply while holding lightly. You can try fully while accepting uncertainty. You can love completely while knowing loss will come. This is the wisdom the Stoics practiced and what cosmic perspective makes available to you. It's not easy. It goes against many habitual ways of thinking. The mind naturally inflates concerns, treats temporary things as permanent, believes it must control what cannot be controlled. These patterns are deeply ingrained, but they can be changed through patient, persistent practice. Each time you take the cosmic perspective, you weaken old patterns and strengthen new ones. Gradually, over time, your default way of seeing shifts. Let's talk about how to maintain this practice going forward. Daily practice is essential. You might establish a morning ritual. Before you start your day, take a moment to remember cosmic scale. Look at the sky and recall that you're on a planet orbiting a star. Remember that this day is one day in your brief life. Remind yourself that from vast perspective, most of what feels urgent isn't. This sets a foundation for the day, helping you maintain perspective as challenges arise. Throughout the day, practice brief perspective shifts. When you feel tension rising, when a situation feels overwhelming, when you're caught in worry, pause. Take a breath. Rise up in imagination and look down. This takes only seconds but creates immediate space. The situation doesn't change, but your relationship to it does. You see it more accurately, less inflated by proximity. This allows you to respond more wisely. In the evening, practice releasing the day. Review what happened with cosmic perspective. From vast distance and deep time, how significant were today's events? What actually matters from that perspective? This helps you let go of what needs releasing and appreciate what deserves appreciation. It creates closure, allowing your mind to rest rather than continuing to process the day endlessly. Before sleep, take the cosmic perspective explicitly. Imagine yourself from above, your room, your city, Earth, the solar system, the galaxy, or visualize yourself in the vast flow of time. This moment, just one moment in the endless river. This expansion of view helps transition from the focused intensity of waking life to the more diffuse awareness of sleep. It helps your concerns right-size themselves, making rest more accessible. If you wake during the night, use cosmic perspective rather than engaging with racing thoughts. The thoughts are temporary mental events in one mind on one planet. They feel urgent, but they're not. The universe continues whether you worry or rest. This recognition helps you release the thoughts and return to rest. It's not that the concerns don't matter, but that they don't need to be addressed at 3 in the morning. They can wait. You can rest. You might also build cosmic perspective into your environment. Images of Earth from space, pictures of galaxies, reminders of vast scale. These serve as visual prompts to shift perspective. When you see them, pause and remember, you're a tiny part of something vast. Your concerns are small and temporary. This moment is all you actually have. These brief reminders throughout the day help maintain the practice. Reading can support the practice too. Marcus Aurelius's Meditations is essentially a record of someone practicing cosmic perspective daily. Reading it regularly helps reinforce your own practice. Other Stoic texts, modern writings on cosmic perspective, astronomy, and cosmology, these can all deepen your understanding and commitment to the practice. The more you immerse yourself in this way of seeing, the more natural it becomes. Community can help as well. Talking with others who practice Stoic philosophy or cosmic perspective can be supportive. You can share insights, remind each other of principles, help each other maintain practice when motivation wavers. The Stoics valued philosophical community. They knew that practicing alone is harder than practicing with others who share the commitment. If you can find such community, in person or online, it strengthens practice. But ultimately, the practice is yours. No one can do it for you. No one can maintain your perspective for you. This is your work, your practice, your development. The good news is that you have everything you need. You have the capacity for reason and awareness. You have the ability to imagine and to shift perspective. You have the wisdom of the Stoics to guide you. You have this moment right now in which to practice. That's enough. That's all anyone ever has. Let's address some challenges you might face in maintaining this practice. The first is that the cosmic perspective can feel abstract or intellectual rather than visceral and transformative. This is common at first. The solution is repetition and patience. The more you practice, the more the perspective shifts from intellectual understanding to felt experience. At first, you think about cosmic scale. Eventually, you feel it. At first, you remember impermanence. Eventually, you sense it in each moment. This deepening takes time, but it does happen with consistent practice. Another challenge is that habitual patterns are strong. Even when you know intellectually that cosmic perspective would help, you might forget to use it when you're caught in anxiety. The mind defaults to old patterns, treating concerns as urgent and enormous. This is why building reminders into your day is important. Set phone alerts. Create visual cues. Link perspective taking to specific activities. Make it so easy to remember that even when you're anxious, you encounter prompts to shift perspective. A third challenge is that sometimes the cosmic perspective might feel cold or nihilistic. If everything is tiny and temporary, why do anything? This is a misunderstanding we've addressed, but it can arise repeatedly. Remember, meaning doesn't come from size or permanence. It comes from quality of experience and choice. You can find deep meaning in a temporary life. You can create real value through small actions. The cosmic perspective clarifies what doesn't matter as much as you think, but it simultaneously reveals what does matter. Your character, your wisdom, how you treat others, whether you live with integrity. A fourth challenge is applying cosmic perspective to genuine tragedies or suffering. When real difficulty strikes, when you lose someone you love or face serious illness or experience genuine hardship, Cosmic perspective isn't a magic solution. It doesn't eliminate pain. What it does is provide context that prevents pain from becoming despair. Yes, this hurts terribly, and it's also one event in the vast unfolding of existence. Both are true. The pain is real and valid. The perspective that it's temporary and not cosmically significant is also true. Both can coexist. The Stoics didn't claim that philosophy eliminates suffering. They claimed it helps you navigate suffering more skillfully. Cosmic perspective is a tool for navigation, not a shield against all pain. You'll still hurt when you lose what matters. You'll still struggle with difficulties, but you'll do so with more context, more resilience, more capacity to maintain your center even when circumstances are hard. This is not small. This is the difference between being destroyed by difficulty and being shaped by it. Let's return to the immediate situation you're in tonight. You came here, perhaps, with concerns keeping you awake. Those concerns are probably still present. Cosmic perspective doesn't make them vanish, but something has shifted. You've spent time expanding your view, seeing from distance, recognizing scale and impermanence. This creates space around your concerns. They're still there, but they're less overwhelming. They're right-sized. They're temporary. They're manageable. You've also been reminded of your essential nature as awareness, as the capacity to observe and choose. You're not your worries. You're not your circumstances. You're not even your thoughts and emotions. You're the awareness that experiences all of these things. This awareness remains stable even when content changes. This is your true refuge, more reliable than any external circumstance, more constant than any mental state. From this place of awareness, you can make choices about where to place your attention. You can choose to continue engaging with worry, though it serves no useful purpose right now. Or you can choose to release worry for tonight, committing to address what needs addressing tomorrow, and rest in the present moment. This is your power, not to control circumstances, but to choose your response. Not to eliminate all difficulty, but to meet difficulty with wisdom. The universe is vast and ancient. You are small and brief. This is reality, not philosophy. But within this reality, you have agency. You can choose wisdom over panic. You can choose perspective over myopia. You can choose to see clearly rather than through the distorting lens of anxiety. You can choose to live well in the time you have rather than wasting that time in useless worry. These choices matter. They determine the quality of your experience. They're available in every moment, including this one. As we move toward the close of this exploration, take a moment to simply rest in cosmic awareness. You're here now on planet Earth, third rock from the sun, in an arm of the Milky Way galaxy, in a universe vast beyond comprehension. You're made of matter billions of years old, briefly organized into a conscious being, capable of contemplating your own existence. This is remarkable. This is worth appreciating. This moment, fleeting as it is a gift. Let the vastness hold you. You don't have to figure everything out tonight. You don't have to resolve all concerns before you rest. The universe has been unfolding for billions of years without your conscious direction. It will continue. Your concerns, important as they feel, are tiny fluctuations in this vast process. They will resolve or transform or be superseded by new concerns. This is the nature of existence. You can trust this process. You can rest in it. Feel the weight of your body, held by the planet's gravity. Earth is holding you as it has held billions of humans before you. You're supported by forces that predate consciousness, forces that will persist long after your individual life ends. You're not alone. You're embedded in systems that hold you without your effort. Gravity doesn't require your participation. Atmosphere protects you automatically. Countless processes sustain you without your awareness. You're held by the cosmos whether you realize it or not. This recognition can bring deep peace. You're not responsible for holding everything together. The universe is doing that. Your job is much simpler. To be present, to respond wisely to what arises, to develop your character, to appreciate beauty, to treat others well, to use your brief time consciously. This is enough. This is all that's asked of you. And it's completely achievable right now, regardless of your circumstances. The Stoics spoke of living in accordance with nature. This means accepting reality as it is, including your own nature as a rational, finite being. You have capacity for wisdom and virtue. You also have limitations. You're powerful in your sphere, powerless outside it. You can influence but not control. You can respond but not determine all outcomes. Accepting this nature rather than fighting it creates ease. You can give your best effort while releasing attachment to results. You can care deeply while holding lightly. From cosmic perspective, you see that you're playing a small part in an immense drama. Your role is significant to you and to those immediately around you, but it's not the center of existence. The universe was not waiting for you to arrive, and it won't mourn your departure. This might seem harsh, but it's actually liberating. You're free from the burden of cosmic importance. You can simply be human, doing what humans do, living as well as you can for as long as you can, and then returning to the elements from which you came. This freedom allows for genuine engagement. Because you're not desperate to make some permanent mark, you can appreciate each moment for what it is. Because you're not attached to everything going your way, you can adapt when things change. Because you're not identified with outcomes, you can risk, try, fail, learn, grow. The cosmic perspective doesn't make you passive. It makes you free to engage fully without being broken by the inevitable difficulties and disappointments. Consider how you want to live going forward. What matters most to you when you see from cosmic perspective? Probably not the things that occupy most of your worry: reputation, status, possessions, specific outcomes. Probably the things that matter at any scale: love, wisdom, integrity, kindness, growth, beauty, contribution. These are what the Stoics called virtue, the only true good, the only thing that remains valuable regardless of circumstances or scale. You can orient your life around these genuine goods rather than around the preferred indifference that seem important but actually aren't fundamental. This doesn't mean ignoring practical matters. You still need to work to maintain relationships, to take care of health and finances. But you do these things from a different orientation. You do them as part of living well rather than believing they determine your worth. You do them consciously rather than desperately. You do them while maintaining perspective about what they actually are. Temporary circumstances in a brief life, important but not ultimate. This shift in orientation changes everything. Work becomes an opportunity to express virtue rather than a measure of worth. Relationships become opportunities for love and growth rather than sources of validation. Health becomes something to appreciate and care for rather than something to cling to desperately. Money becomes a tool for living well rather than a source of security or identity. Everything is right-sized. Everything is held appropriately. Nothing is inflated beyond its actual significance. Tonight, as you prepare to rest, you can practice this right-sizing. Whatever concerns brought you here, see them from cosmic perspective. They're real but temporary. They're important to you but not cosmically significant. They'll change and eventually pass. Meanwhile, you have this moment. You have your capacity for awareness and choice. You have the opportunity to rest, to restore, to prepare to meet tomorrow wisely. This is enough. This is what's actually available. This is what's real. Let go of what cannot be held. Release your grip on outcomes you can't control. Stop trying to make permanent what is inherently temporary. Accept that you're a finite being in a vast universe, and that this is not tragic but true. From this acceptance comes peace. Not the peace of perfect circumstances, which is impossible and wouldn't last anyway. The peace of clear seeing, of living in accordance with reality, of maintaining your center regardless of what's happening around or within you. The stars that shine tonight have been shining for millions or billions of years. They'll continue shining long after you're gone. Some of the light reaching your eyes now left those stars before humans existed. You're seeing ancient light, a message from the deep past. And you, for this brief moment, are here to receive it. You're a way the universe sees itself, contemplates itself, appreciates its own vast beauty. This is extraordinary. This is enough. As we close this journey through cosmic perspective, rest in the understanding you've gained. You've traveled vast distances without moving. You've contemplated deep time while experiencing this present moment. You've seen yourself from multiple perspectives, each revealing something true. You know now that you're both infinitesimal and significant, both temporary and meaningful, both powerless and free. These apparent paradoxes are how reality actually is. The wisdom is holding them all simultaneously. Practice this perspective daily. Make it a habit, a reflex, a natural way of seeing. When anxiety arises, rise up and look down. When circumstances feel overwhelming, remember cosmic scale. When you're caught in urgency, remember deep time. When you feel isolated, remember you're part of vast systems and processes. These practices will transform how you experience life. Not by changing circumstances, but by changing how you relate to circumstances. The Stoics believed that philosophy should be practical, applicable, useful for living better. Cosmic perspective is deeply practical. It helps you maintain equilibrium in difficulty. It helps you appreciate good times without desperate clinging. It helps you distinguish what matters from what doesn't. It helps you live more consciously and purposefully in your brief time. It helps you face mortality without being paralyzed by it. It helps you find meaning without needing cosmic significance. All of this wisdom is available to you right now. You don't need to achieve anything or become anyone different. You just need to remember to shift perspective, to rise up and look down, to see from distance what's confusing up close. This capacity is built into you. You're a conscious being capable of self-reflection and imagination. Use these capacities. Practice the view from above. Develop cosmic perspective as a reliable tool you can access whenever you need it. And remember always that you're doing your best. You're navigating human life with its inherent challenges and limitations. You're dealing with a mind that evolved to detect threats and often overdoes it. You're living in complex circumstances you didn't choose and can't completely control. Given all this, you're doing remarkably well just by being here, by seeking wisdom, by trying to see clearly. This is enough. You are enough. The universe continues its ancient dance. Stars are born and die. Galaxies rotate slowly across billions of years. Planets orbit. Life emerges and evolves and goes extinct. Everything flows, changes, transforms. And for this brief moment, you're part of this cosmic process, conscious and aware, capable of wonder and wisdom. Use this moment well, not by accomplishing everything or resolving every concern, but by being present, by choosing wisely, by maintaining your character regardless of circumstances. Rest now in cosmic awareness. You're held by forces beyond your understanding. You're part of a process that began long before you and will continue long after. Your concerns are temporary fluctuations in this vast unfolding. They'll pass as everything passes. What remains is the capacity you've always had, to observe, to choose, to respond with wisdom. This capacity is yours until your last breath. It's enough to meet whatever comes. Let the vastness comfort you. Let the depth of time give you patience. Let the recognition of impermanence help you appreciate this moment. Let the understanding of your true scale free you from false burdens. Let the practice of cosmic perspective become your refuge, always available, always offering clarity when ground-level view becomes too confusing. The journey we've taken together tonight is complete, but your practice continues. Each day offers new opportunities to see from distance, to remember cosmic scale, to maintain perspective. Each challenge is an opportunity to apply this wisdom. Each moment is a chance to choose clarity over confusion, perspective over myopia, peace over panic. The tools are yours. The capacity is yours. The choice is always yours. Sleep now, if sleep comes, held by ancient forces on an ancient planet under ancient stars. Rest now in the understanding that you're both tiny and magnificent, both temporary and meaningful, both limited and free. Tomorrow you'll wake and practice again, rising up to see from distance, remembering what truly matters, living as well as you can in the time you have. This is the way. This is enough. This is peace. The cosmic perspective is always available. The view from above awaits whenever you need it. The vastness holds you whether you remember or forget. You're part of something immeasurably larger than yourself, and that's not diminishment but truth. Rest in this truth, live from this truth, and know that you have everything you need to navigate your brief, precious, meaningful life with wisdom and grace.